All right, so we're back. I'm back, guys. Here is episode 5 for me, 6 for everybody else for PuckPod by BD Sports, our premier hockey podcast. I'm joined here by Christian and David. You guys know them already. How have you guys been this week, guys?
A lot better than last week, that's for sure.
Why? Because I'm here
The
now?
Leafs, the Leafs. No, no. Listen, well,
Yeah, that's
that
fair.
might be like
That's
that is
fair.
a reason. I won't lie to you, Brian.
Appreciate
Seeing
it.
your face every week that definitely brings my mood up, but it's definitely not like number one. I think the Leafs definitely affect my mood. If the Leafs like are in winning ways, you'll notice that my mood is definitely a lot better. It's actually like really sad to think about. Like I hate them so much, like that they do this to my mood.
What about Man United
But
this morning?
okay, so I had the game on. I had the game on, but I was like half watching. I was like making pizzas. Um, so I said to you, Brian, I was like at the half
They, they scored. They
they
scored.
scored to make it 2-1, and then I was like, okay, if you go into the second half, you get another goal, the game ends 2-2, you get a point. I'd be content. If they went on to win, I'd be ecstatic. Then they conceded within, I think, 2 minutes of the half starting. So I was like, oh,
And
well,
it's done. They
that's
lost
it.
3-1. And then the Leafs cheered you up tonight, right? We're recording
Yeah, it
this.
definitely helped out.
For those of you who care, we're recording this right after the Leafs beat the Canes. Was it 3-1? 3-1, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
3-1.
It was 3-1.
It was 3-1. And I'm surprised no emergency backup goalie came to steal the game. But anyway, Christian, how was
We,
your
we
week?
don't mention that who you're referring to there is he who shall not be named, right?
I,
Okay,
to be
so
honest with you
not
guys, I don't know his name off the
Do
top
you
of my head.
remember his name?
good.
Okay,
No,
good.
I
We'll keep it that
absolutely,
way.
yeah. Me and
His name's
Dave,
gonna be
it's
ingrained in my head.
ingrained.
Wait, do you guys
Yeah,
know his
man.
name?
Oh, off
Hundred
by heart. I
percent,
know where he
man.
lives.
Yeah.
What is his name?
I don't.
Oh no, we're not saying it. That's
Okay.
like
I'm not saying
saying
it,
the
Wait,
bro.
other guy.
is
The guy with the guy in Harry Potter with the white face and like
oh yeah yeah
Voldemort, bro.
the no
Voldemort,
nose.
man. This
Hey,
guy,
you can't say
they're on
that.
the same level. These guys, okay. He who should
Yeah.
not be named, Voldemort, is the same
Wait, is
person.
he still employed
Yeah,
by you
my week
guys?
has been okay, Brian.
Wait,
Uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He might have just said, "Screw it, I don't need this Marley Zamboni driver gig anymore because I made a bunch
Dude,
off of the publicity
he
stunt,
sold
right?
his
Not publicity.
he
What am I
sold
saying?
his
Publicity
life.
stunt.
He sold
Yeah.
his life rights to like Disney. Like Disney's gonna be making a movie out of him. They paid like $1 million
Yes.
or something.
are you serious?
No
Yeah,
hyperbole is
dude.
a script and everything, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're writing it
Wow.
as we speak.
Wow. Okay. I know we weren't gonna like we didn't plan to talk about this, but speaking with Disney, since this is a good transition. Did you guys see the Ducks? Not the
Christian, did
not
you
the.
say how your week was?
Sorry. Well, we'll go into that after. We'll do that later. We'll do that later.
My week is not important.
We'll talk about your week after. But guys, I think I want to buy like the not the like Anaheim Ducks, but the Mighty Ducks Adidas hockey jersey. Like that is a nice
Dude,
jersey.
I was more impressed by the shoes than the jerseys. The jerseys are cool, but like the shoes look pretty
I didn't
decent.
even know that they had shoes for that.
It's
To be
Ultra
honest.
Boost, man.
yo,
Yeah, it's just Ultra Boost
I
colorway.
was at I was at Yorkdale Friday night. Um, and at Lids, so like in the Yorkdale main entrance, the first store on the right
It's
there
Liz.
is a Lids.
Yeah.
I looked inside. I saw one of the Ducks jerseys. It was a Charlie Conway jersey, but it wasn't the Adidas one. It was by this other company that they make like film and TV show like jerseys, like fictional jerseys. They make them like and like they produce them for like real
Probably
life.
like
So they
Space
had
Jam and stuff. Yeah,
they had
yeah.
Flint Tropics, Jackie Moon. They had Charlie Conway, Mighty Ducks. They had a Happy Gilmore, Boston Bruins jersey. I don't know how they would get the rights for that, but that's they only had like one in stock, I think.
Sorry,
So
that's from Happy Gilmore, right? The
yeah,
Bruins. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
and there was another one off the top of my head, but like that's like I just thought of that. I was like, I thought that was the Adidas for a quick second. I was like, oh my god, like the Lids has like the Adidas in stock. I was like, I didn't even think that they got released yet. And then I went to check, and it was like some other company. So I don't know how they could get away with that. I'll be honest with you. It looked legit, but it looked really nice.
They probably sold the rights to some company, or it's like probably licensed it out to Adidas, licensed it
If
out
it's
to
in
this
lids,
brand.
yeah, it's legit. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that, guys. More important things came up. Christian, how was your week?
Yeah, my week sucked. Okay, no, I'm joking. No, my week was good. As Dave said, Leafs 100% play into my mood, and so as you can tell, we're like pretty lively right now because we're recording this on Sunday. Like Bryan said, the Leafs just won against Carolina, so I'm in a pretty good mood. And it's about it. It was a pretty normal, pretty standard week.
Um,
Yeah, how about you, Bryan? The hockey related week? What did you think?
it was okay. Like realistically, we did play like Carolina too the same week. Like we played them on Monday, but like to start the like after you guys did the pod, we played them right on Sunday, and then 1 week later
Yeah.
now you guys played them, so we'll be able to talk about that. But hockey related, like the Caps don't really influence my mood. Thank God they don't because we're not doing too well. It would have been nice in the past, but not anymore. I just typical working week, and now I'm here. But I missed last pod, and apologize to everybody for that. But the main thing is that we're all back together now. Anyway,
Happy family, man. Yeah.
anyway, on more hockey related stuff, guys. We legitimately, the Capitals, have 7 players hurt. 7 players. Let's say, I'd say the majority of them are like between numbers 3 to 10 of our best players, right? In that range.
It's at least 3 top 6 forwards off the top of my head, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's Oshie, it's Backstrom, it's
Wilson.
Wilson, Brown. So make that 4.
Brown.
Connor Brown.
But like,
Yeah,
if you consider him top 6 like that, sure. But like,
But he could definitely fill in
he definitely
up
can.
there too, right?
He definitely can. Hagelin's been hurt.
Even if-
we knew that was gonna happen. Like, guys, if you guys removed half, like if you guys just took out a line from your roster, like from any team, that would drastically impact the way that they perform this season. Would you not agree? Like, we are legitimately hanging on by a thread. We are claiming waivers, guys. Like, we're claiming guys off waivers. If you just claim that guy, your fourth liner, Kuba.
that guy.
Hey, remember his
He's
name.
got a name.
Abe-
In fact,
Abe
he's got
Kuba.
multiple
He
names.
does.
Okay.
Abe
He's got a
Kuba.
hyphen.
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
And then
Nickel Baker.
Stanley Cup champion Nicholas Aube-Kubel. Don't forget
he
that.
had a good season last year. He had like 20 points, right, with the Avalanche.
Something like that, yeah.
He was a waiver claim last year too.
I mean, like, I don't mind taking a guy off waivers if he's proven that he can win 20 points. I mean, at this point, we're taking anybody off waivers. We're crunched to the cap, right to the top. I don't know. We Sonny Milano was dropped too. No, he wasn't dropped, but he wasn't signed. And then we signed him to Hershey, and then now we're playing him second line with Dylan Strome. Like, that's how desperate we are at this point. Like, if you think about it, it's actually ridiculous. Eventually, soon we're gonna have to start calling guys up from Hershey. I mean, maybe that's what I wanted from to begin with, from this.
Yeah, right.
But not
The
like
monkey
this.
paw is curling, Bryan. It's
This-
curling on
this
you,
isn't the
man.
situation you want to see, though.
No,
100%.
And it's like, for example, like when we dropped Vanacek and we dropped Samsonov, right, or shipped him out, dropped Samsonov.
Yeah.
We brought in Kemper.
Sent him to a better place.
I wouldn't say that. Well, right now, yeah, maybe. But Kemper's been playing well. Like, I can't really complain. But I always thought the idea was to like push the guy through the system. But man, we really are pushing guys through the system now. I mean, Milano just came up from Hershey after being signed, and McMichael's actually playing now. Protus is playing too now. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, we are on thin ice. Really, really thin
Trial
ice.
by fire for those young guys, right? But
Legitimately.
David,
throw them
that's
right
what I'm
in.
gonna say there. Yeah.
Bryan,
Huh?
sorry, listen, man. It really is like sink or swim for these guys, right? Like, Connor McMichael, this is his opportunity to really, like, staple himself into this lineup. Like, so these next, like, few games, how long? Okay, so I have a question. So out of the 7 guys, who would be realistically the first person to be coming back? Like, what's the timeline here? I know Brown for sure, like, probably will not be back for the rest of the season. So that's one person, like, out of the 7 that's not coming back.
So I'll knock on wood. Backstrom's probably career ending, or like he'll
Yeah,
probably
like
play. Yeah, it's basically career ending.
it's not looking good.
And then Oshie, for example, we don't know. Laviolette said it's going to be long term. We know that. I've already said that. That's legitimately what he said in an interview. He's not. I don't think he's going to give out any timelines, but Oshie's never played a full 82 game season in his career. Last season he only played half the season. His body has taken so much damage over the years. I don't know how much more it can take. So he's probably not going to be back until maybe playoffs, I'm assuming, just because that's the type of player he is. Hagelin's probably out. Malenstein, we don't know, and Carlson, I don't know. Like, realistically,
Wow.
Wilson's gonna be
Wow.
back. Realistically, Wilson's gonna be back in February. That's my answer for you. But
And that's the first out
yeah,
of the 7.
because Brown's
Wow.
guaranteed 6 to 8 months with the ACL injury, right?
Yeah. Well, then you name the others. The others are like looking pretty long term as well. So like February could be like the first time where we start to see
I
like
personally don't know off the top of my head what Carlson, how long that can be out for, but it didn't look good. And these guys have played long playoff series every single year for like the past, let's say 9 years, right? Every single one of these guys, well, the majority of them at least. It adds up,
Before.
and I'm seeing like we're starting to see the decline, and it sucks, man, because we have. I don't know. I think we could get one more year in, one more solid year, but it's not looking
The
too good.
comparable that comes to mind for me, just looking back at last year, team wise, is Vegas, right? Vegas started off the year absolutely decimated. They ran through Toronto that one night where like it was like who the hell was playing for them? I don't know if they had Brooks or Amadio at that point or one. They picked one of our guys up off of waivers. Like it was just it was like half of the Vegas roster showed up to Toronto and they did not look good. And they dealt with it all season. Mark Stone, Eichel, even when they traded for him, the guys that you lost in the Eichel trade, you don't have Tuck, you don't have Krebs, right? So that's the comparable that comes to mind for me. But then look at them this year, right? You see what a year does, a healthy offseason. So maybe, like I said, Brian, if you want to get one more year in, maybe it's not this year. You're unfortunately already starting to look ahead to next year. It might be one of those situations. Yeah.
I don't think we miss the playoffs. Genuinely, I think that our team's experienced enough. We have enough leadership, veteran, skill, and talent on the team to get us into the playoffs, at least as a wild card. It's going to be 6 first round exits in a row or 5 first round exits in a row, though, if that's the case. I mean, it happens.
yeah, we know it happens.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Well aware.
I wasn't trying to make that joke, but like, now that I did, yeah, it sucks for you guys too. I know how it feels now, but I don't know, like
Yeah, but you get a cup out of it. So.
Yeah, like
that's
get
true.
out of here.
It's that's true, but I'm just I feel like this team is at this point crumbling at its ashes, right? Like it's crumbling at its feet. Everybody's hurt, legitimately. Like these are career-ending injuries to the core, and it's not like it's like Perry LTR or just whatever. No, it's not gonna. It doesn't work that way because who knows? These guys might be back by the playoffs, and it's just you don't want to take that.
You guys are in
Spray
limbo.
guys off. Yeah, we're right.
Yeah,
We're in a
you
tough
guys are in
situation.
limbo right now. You're in survival mode. You're just in day to day life. Like you just gotta play a game and see what happens. I
And
mean,
it's
I
not
think
like
that's what you
and it's
do.
not like guys aren't even showing up. Like you see guys like Dowd, Hathaway, they're having career years.
Yeah,
Ovechkin's not gonna
you
stop
can't
scoring.
put a
Even
fair like
Ovi, yeah.
evaluation on your team, right? Like, when you're missing that many guys, it's like, okay, what is this mismatch roster like? Do I even care how guys do? Like, this isn't an accurate representation of what the team is, right? Incomplete picture is what you got there.
Like I, I even look at our team right now. Like on paper, I have the lineup here. It's a good team from top to bottom. It just if you throw in the 7 guys we're missing or 6 because Malenstein probably wouldn't make the roster. Um, it shoots up from a wildcard team to a contending team, and I don't know,
Yeah,
guys. I'm not happy about this. Like it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Nobody would be happy with that many injuries, right? I think personally, like this is like the kind of like the life and times of like too much success. Like sometimes that that success. Even okay, granted, you had one cup. Okay, so we're not gonna call you the Washington Cap. I'm not like listen. I'm not gonna like no joke. All joking aside, you had one cup. So we're not gonna say a dynasty Capitals franchise. Which in other like if a couple of things like went here or there, they very well could have turned into a dynasty team, right? Something like we saw with the Blackhawks. I don't know, maybe like the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. Who knows, right? But this is like now the goal is realistically, it's just getting Ovi to that goal record, right? This is the cost of success, and getting Ovi to that goal record, unfortunately, is going to see some of these well-established stars, like you're going to keep trotting them out, but age, games played, that type of stuff. Now it's really going to start coming into effect. So I think this might be the first of another few years of where this might be consistently happening, especially with a team like the Caps are a heavy team. Like they play a heavier style of hockey, right? They're not they're not slouches. Like they'll go in for the puck battles. Guys like Tom Wilson, you mentioned TJ Oshie before, right? Like they're not gonna give it 100% when they're on the ice, right? Whether or not that's detrimental to their bodies is besides the fact, really, right? Um, I think I know 100%, Brian. Like you add those, like you've said the comparable before. Like imagine you're taking out a full line of players, full five plus another two, let's say like forwards off your team, and you're shelving them,
And your
right?
number one defenseman.
And you're number one defenseman, right? Like there's not much
And,
left there right now,
and
right?
people don't understand. Like people don't realize that like Carlson is legitimately a point producer on our team. He legitimately
I think
gets
he's a captain on most teams. Like I would
fair.
say 25 teams in the league, give or take. That's just off the top of my head.
I'd agree
He's a
with you.
captain. The same thing with Nicholas Backstrom, right? So
No, we have likely two Hall of Famers that are hurt right now. Carlson on the edge,
mhm,
Backstrom guaranteed in. Like you know what I mean? Like we have two Hall of Famers
for sure.
legitimately out right now. And it's like TJ Oshie, who's always like just been a core guy on our team. Like I don't know another team with a comparable like TJ Oshie. Like he's just been a fan favorite. He's always been good to us. He's always put in the work, and he's legitimately a top six forward on any team in the league. Well, most 95% of the teams in the league. You know what I mean? And oh my god,
For
man,
sure.
it's not looking too good for us. And I can't even fault the team. I can't even fault the coach because what can you do, right? Like we're short staffed, legitimately. It's like going into work and no one's there because everybody's called in sick one day, right?
I
I
know,
said this for like
Brian.
6 months.
Yeah,
Brian, I know me and you
yeah,
have a
yeah. We
fair
know how
share
that
of those
feels.
moments.
But
Yep.
like I'm just gonna read up to you our top like our top six, and then you guys can tell me like what you guys think. Like genuinely, like do you believe that this is a playoff team? Actually, I'll read out all four lines because it's pretty short. So first line is Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Shiri. The second
Okay.
line is Milano, Strome, and Johansson. Our third line is McMichael, Eller, and Mantha. The fourth line is probably our best line: Protas, Dowd, and Hathaway. Best line like
Uh,
this
well, I
season.
don't know best line,
No,
but
but like this season, that fourth line is popped off. You know what I
I
mean?
think you can tell from just the way that you read out the line combos there. They're going for maybe not rolling all four lines, but they're trying to balance the roster right there. You can tell. I think it's in Math is on the third line, right? So, I mean, ideally, if you're just taking all 12 forwards and lining them up from 1 to 12, Math is probably more like 4 or 5. He's in that top 6. You have him on the third line right now. But, I mean, I think the collection of players that you mentioned there should be in
Yes.
the hunt, is where I'd put you guys. In the hunt, in the wild card hunt, which is
yeah,
technically still where you guys are in the standings. It's early enough that I'm looking
Technically,
right
I
now.
mean,
You guys are at 12 points. Philly's at 14, and the Islanders are at 14.
I'm not too
So
but
concerned.
it's
it's kind of a competition.
I'm not concerned yet. You
sorry.
know,
Yeah.
like my worry point is Christmas. If you're doing
Mhm.
well by Christmas, that means that means that you are on the right track. If you're not, then you gotta make a move or something. Or it's too early to be concerned. Like we're only I think a tenth of the season, right? We played 8 games or 9 games or whatever. No big deal yet. Nothing to be worried about. But I don't know, man. If any one
I'm
more
actually
time,
looking, Brian. You've played
11,
most in the Eastern Conference, buddy. 13.
13. Okay, yeah.
That's it. I'm joking. Even the Leafs and the Rangers have as well. But
Close enough.
still, like it's
My
way
point
too
stands.
early enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I don't know,
Yeah.
man. An eighth into the season, that's a lot, but it's fixable and manageable.
I don't know. You see it sometimes where teams deal with this adversity, and sometimes it brings them closer together. They play more of a team game. Like they're just because you have a worse roster because of these injuries doesn't necessarily mean the results are going to be worse. They might be right now. They're middling right now, but
And another
with the
thing
right blend, and if they catch fire, you might still do well.
And one thing that was absolutely crappy was like this week, we played Vegas, Carolina, and Arizona, right? So, like Arizona, like we had a 2-goal lead and we blew it in the last 35 seconds, legitimately.
Was
Like,
that in Washington or Arizona?
It was in Washington. We were wearing our nice jerseys, like the new reverse
I
retros. If you guys want to
the
buy one,
reverse
check
retro.
out NHLShop.ca. Use our link. But like how do you blow a 2-0 lead and then let them score the game-winning goal with 35 seconds left? That's just not the Washington mentality. That's just not the Washington way.
Who scored the game-winning goal, Brian? By chance, buddy? Can you recall?
I don't remember, but it was a garbage goal. I think it was Fisher.
Oh,
I think it was one. Nicholas Ritchie is who I believe. Yeah. I just wanted to mention that.
Anyway, like that's not the Washington way. The Washington way was like throw on this gritty fourth line, like Eller takes the face off, and then like we win it, and then we just like win the rest of the like we just go into overtime or we hold off the lead. But I don't know, man. That just didn't look good. And then what makes it worse too is we were outworked by Carolina. Like they obviously showed 110% against us, and we
outwork 90% of the league every game. Just to be fair, yeah.
And then,
they were outworking the Leafs today for like 40 minutes.
And then
it was the 40, so.
And then like we lost to Vegas, and then Vegas just had more talent than us on paper. Like Jack Eichel just tore us up. If you watch his goal, one of the most beautiful goals I've ever seen. He just cuts in, does his thing, and then but he does it so like he was slow into it. You know what I mean? It was just I don't know.
He's going at half speed.
Yes, and that's a good way to say it. And then he makes us look dumb almost the way he did it. It's like every single way we lost was just crappy. Outworked one game, out-talented one game, and then we choked the last game.
Instead of finding different ways to win, you're finding different ways to lose.
For lack of a better terms.
But as Leaf fans, we know that we've seen that before too. We've seen that as recently as last exactly. So it's not the end of the world, but Washington's going to be an interesting collection of players, and you'll at least, like we said, Brian, it's trial by fire for your young guys, and at least you'll get some answers on some of them by way of just being forced into the lineup, right? So there's some excitement, at least in that sense.
The only excitement I really have right now, which kind of sucks, is Ovechkin's going to score. Because he's obviously in the hunt for the goal record. And if that's what I'm looking for, I mean, that's one thing. Shout out to Dowd, Hathaway, Strome, and Jensen Orlov. Like, these guys are playing out of their minds, having career years, I'd say. But they just don't have the team to do it. If everybody was here, guys, you know, I'd be front running. I'd be saying, yeah, we're gonna win the cup this year. Look at our team. But you know what?
What's Hathaway's contract look like, Brian? Is he a UFA this year by chance, buddy?
Yes, I believe so. And he's gonna get
paid.
He is going to make.
And he'll also maybe get traded if you guys are out of it. So
hey, don't say that. No.
Fingers crossed there.
I mean, if we know we can't win the cup, if we know that the guys are gonna come back, it's better to let.
You might as well just start selling.
Yeah.
You can reload the next year, like we said, right?
And
you can reload.
He obviously shows passion for the club. He plays for the team on his chest, so
he always stands out every time the Leafs play them. He stands out. He does.
Yeah, 100%. Brian, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Would there be a big shame if it's January going into February and you guys are, you know, at a 500 level? Is there a shame for you guys, you know, just letting off some of those pieces?
What are the lottery odds?
Like,
no,
what?
I just said
I mean, listen, if you guys want to start tanking there's a
no.
chance right now you
In
can. You
realistically,
It's a
guys
good
have
draft
a
even outside of
legitimate
Bedard.
realistically,
you guys have a legitimate reason too. Like you guys have seven people, like seven
You wouldn't get
staples that line
national
up
shame.
well.
Yeah, you wouldn't be like, wow, look at this team. It's folding on itself or something.
re,
You get the pity. You get the pity from the national media. I
Yeah, it's
think.
like, oh, what happened to the Caps? Like, well, you have a look
Yeah.
down the lineup,
It's
and
unfortunate. Look at this team. They've been injured, and this is a
re,
smart thing for
and
them to do.
then you win McDavid 2.0.
re, realistically, I've only ever seen the Caps miss the playoffs one season that I've been a fan, 2014. Um, it worked out because like the next year we were President's Trophy contenders, and in that draft we actually picked up Verana, right? Um,
Yeah.
we don't win the cup without Verana, and when you put it like that, I mean you gotta take your beatings eventually. You can't stay on top forever. But 500 hurts, man. Like I do not want to see a 500 record.
I actually just thought of another
Wow.
comparable in terms of a team. Would it have been? No, it would have been the 16-17 Tampa Bay Lightning. They
Oh,
didn't
right.
make the playoffs
Oh.
either. They
Mhm.
didn't have Stamkos. I think they were missing Stamkos and Kucherov going down the stretch. They traded Brian Boyle to us, right? That to
Yep.
me is coming up as a pretty good comparable in terms of what Washington might be dealing with this year. Obviously, different. They're different in terms of where they were on their timelines as a contender. The window is different, but that just came to mind as well.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, like I can't complain with the past 10 years of Capitals hockey. I can't ever complain. I've been blessed to see a good team compete. I've been blessed to see, one of the best players of all time play on my team. Two of the best, or three of the best, if you count Carl.
Nicked out and guarded Hathaway. Yeah, yeah.
Like, you can't stay on top forever, and I guess we're starting to see the decline, which kind of sucks. But anyway, now I'm sad.
That was a very
That's
existential conversation on the Caps, man. Wow, wow. This early in the season, where do you go? How are we going to top that next episode, bro? Like, I don't know.
What they go on a 5-game win streak or 3-game win streak
Unless
or
he scores
whatever.
50 goals
We're
in
setting-
3 games.
We're
Yeah.
setting the stage. You're welcome, Caps. We're giving you the opportunity. Okay, show us what you got. I mean, we can maybe transition Bryan now from not getting smile to getting a little bit of smile. I'm always going to bring it up. I thought maybe that's why he didn't come last episode because you were just tired of me bringing up Samsonov quotes. But we know now it wasn't that, so that's good. But yeah, Dave, where do we start here, man? I mean, I think what we
Okay.
talked about last week held up in terms of the
It
Anaheim
applied.
game. Do you want to
It
mention,
literally
right?
applied that night. Yeah, like
Yes,
it
yes.
applied fully, 100%. So,
Yeah.
so
Good
I
timing,
think
eh?
the way that we should. Pardon?
Really good timing. Like really,
Foreshadowing. Me
Oh,
and Dave,
man.
we're doing lots of like
We know. You know what it is?
were
It's because we
foreshadowing a lot of
know
stuff.
this team, dude. We know the team. We
Predictability.
know them too well. If you like Brian, you're a Caps fan, so you know like the Capitals' tendencies, right? So that's why I think the best place to start is the beginning of this week. So after our last recorded episode, the Leafs maybe went on to put out one of their worst efforts. Like I wasn't fully watching that game, but like that had to have been like up
The
there
back
for
half
one of their
was-
worst efforts.
Yes, the back half specifically. Like,
easily-
yeah,
Yeah, last like last 20 minutes, I would say, last 30.
yeah, you can say
Worst
30 minutes.
efforts I've
Honestly,
ever
they milled it in terms of effort. Like they even that first 30 minutes is they were getting off on their talent,
Sorry,
right?
what team?
Getting by on their
Mhm.
talent. Anaheim Ducks. This is
Against the
Sunday
Ducks.
night last week. This is the Zegras game. Yeah, this is the Marner fiasco game. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. So everybody had some choice words for that team after the game. And listen, if we had recorded that podcast that night, the day after,
Man.
there would have been some words thrown to certain players on that team. I'm not going to name names because listen, I don't want to like rehash old things, but it's fantastic to see how us as fans were able to like kind of telegraph how games are going to go. So the Leafs mail it in against the Ducks. They lose 4-3 in overtime. They blow a 3-1 lead. They have then 2 full days. They then play on Wednesday, so about 3 days to prepare. They come back home. That's their 5-game road trip, which they go 1-4, 1-3-1. If they because it's a shootout lot. 1-4. They lost 4 games.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was an overtime loss. So they went 1-4 on that road trip, and the 4 losses were against teams that are frankly not great. They're not good teams. Like, let's put it bluntly, they're not good. San Jose, Anaheim are 2 of the worst teams in the league currently.
LA wasn't doing too hot. The only one you forgive them is not even forgive. Forgive's the wrong word, but Vegas. Vegas, they got
Vegas, yeah, Vegas is a good team. They're the best team in the league, right? So then you have 3 days to kind of like. They were kind of stewing in the media was like, there were so many people just completely giving up on that team.
Yeah.
I saw
We should mention too, like that Monday they had like a full on break. Like they didn't have practice. They didn't speak to the media as far as I could tell. Right. So the media and the actual players got time to themselves on that Monday. Right. So yeah, like you were saying, go on.
So everybody was kind of like, I think going into that game against the Flyers, it was going to go one of 2 ways, I think. They either would have dropped another egg or they would come out, fighting, which thankfully for all of Leafs Nation and the rest of the NHL that didn't have to deal with us that night, they came out fighting and they put on a pretty like great showing. I think one thing to note from that game was John Tortorella's comments before saying like kind of going to the defense of Sheldon Keefe, which you could see it in 2 ways where it's kind of like why, like, you know what I mean? It's that
he went out of his way to make those comments, right? He didn't have to.
100%. Yeah. He really didn't. Yeah. It's kind of like that camaraderie. That circle of trust that all the coaches kind of have. So I thought that, I don't know how I fully feel about those comments. So basically, for anybody who like doesn't know, he kind of went on to say like, I don't know why Keefe is, getting a lot of the blame put on him for what's been going on with.
You don't know the half of what he's doing behind.
You don't know the half of it exactly, right? And you know what, man, the Leafs. They took those few days off to really, like, I guess, recharge, reset, and refuel, and they came out for that game against Philadelphia. I think that personally was the start of maybe their best. Like that was probably their best game of the season up until that point. That game against Winnipeg 100%. was definitely a close like second there. I think you could kind of like debate Cristian,
the context of. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts on specifically the Philly game. I mean, and even backing up, let's go back to the Torts stuff there. We should even mention too, like Torts' relationship with Keefe outside of the coaching fraternity is that Keefe was a player for Torts back in the early 2000s on the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? So there is that personal connection already to begin with. So it does make maybe a little bit more sense why Torts would come to his defense. But like he wasn't sugarcoating it at all. Like he wasn't just sticking up for a friend. I think everything he said, he totally meant, and even if it wasn't Keefe, he would have said those things still, right? And I think what was nice about those Torts comments was, and Torts doesn't make nice comments. I shouldn't use the word nice, but what I'm trying to say is it was good to get an outside perspective, right? Because here in Leafland, it is a bit of an echo chamber sometimes, right? We're just bouncing stuff off our own walls and just it comes back, hits us. You're hearing the same things over and over again. It's always good to hear an outside perspective on the situation. So that was refreshing. And like Dave said, up to that point, the Philly game was probably our best game. I would give the edge over the Winnipeg game, and I would also I would also say that Philly. They were billed as they were going to be the Torts' team, right? They're going to be this hard-working team. They're going to run us into the boards every shift, whatever. I didn't really see that. I saw a pretty middling team, honestly. I didn't really think they gave their best effort. So in that respect, it was a winnable game for the Leafs, and credit to them. They won it, right? Shout out to JT, who we sang his praises on our last episode, me and Dave, that he was getting some flack last year that wasn't... He shouldn't have got last year, and my God, there's no flack this year. Who the hell is giving this guy flack?
the most underrated, overrated player in the league, John Tavares.
Underrated,
Everybody
overrated
seems
player.
to hate on him because he's making so
Yeah,
much
like,
money, but you know, he's our
he's doing
captain,
$11
man.
million
Like,
things right now, man.
That's a
Like,
goal of the year
right?
candidate.
yeah.
That's a goal of the year.
Oh
Goal
my
of the year
God, that
candidate.
goal
Oh,
was
that
wow.
goal that had me out of my seat. Like legitimately, like
Yeah.
I was like fully like I was like screaming, clapping, like doing some like hallelujah, praise Jesus type of things. Like,
Yeah, man.
oh my
Dave, I don't remember
goodness,
what game it was. You definitely remember what I'm gonna say here. What game? I don't. It was a TSN broadcast. Ray Ferraro reacting to an Austin Matthews goal, and he's
oh,
just like,
there was just scoregasming.
just like, yeah, yeah. That was
Oh,
that.
no, no. Yeah, no, I do that. And
Yeah,
like, me and Ray are the same person. I think like that's how I
I think I
react
had a
every
pretty
like
good Ray Ferraro impression too last night on
yeah.
the Philly game.
Oh
Yeah,
I don't
man,
know.
yeah. But
I don't know if you guys remember.
sorry, go Bryan.
Going a little bit off topic. Sorry, but there's one game that John Tavares had against Dallas. He scored a hat trick. I watched that game from beginning to end because I was just at somebody's house.
I think it was a 4-goal game actually.
It
Might have been a 4-goal
from
game,
John
bro.
Tavares, right? Yeah. Like,
Yes,
I
yeah.
remember that, and it's
Was that
like,
not against Florida?
Dallas. Like,
Was it?
yes. It's
Okay,
like,
maybe you're right
I
there.
know
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure the 4-goal game was against Florida. He might have had a hat trick
Has
against Dallas.
has he
Though.
had 3 hat tricks as a Leaf?
I
We're
don't
gonna have to look
remember.
this up after.
it seems like he
Yeah.
just pops off randomly, like, which is kind of interesting. You know, I feel like
This year it's been consistent, man.
no, this
Yeah.
year he's been like your best player. I'd say like
Mhm.
every time I see him like on the ice, like I watched a couple. This is the season I watched the most Leafs like ever. I watched like 4 games with you guys, right?
It's because of us.
Yeah.
For you guys, I like how he phrases it like that. You watched it for us, man. Yes, thank
I
you.
don't think
John.
I've watched a single Caps game for you, bro. I'll be honest.
We
with
watched
you.
at least
Except for
one.
the one
You
I
guys
was
have
in
can
fun,
say-
person.
yeah. But
We got
it's like every time he's on the ice, it's like he's doing something productive, and it's like
it's noticeable.
it's an island. It's when he was on the Islanders, he was like dragging dead weight every single time he's on the ice. You can see him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like he's doing that now, but he has help. It's not like he has dead weight
Yes.
around him anymore. It's like he actually.
I mean, he has help, but that
bodies.
individual effort against Philly, like, he was
Oh.
like, "I don't need help. Everybody, get off the ice." I'm John Tavares,
Why,
the
Matt
hockey
Molson?
robot.
Matt Molson wasn't a 30-goal scorer without John Tavares.
100%. No, 100%. That was his reputation.
Well,
He was a money maker.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's why I think I don't know if everybody kind of like I refer to him, and a lot of people also refer to him as the little things king. If you watch John Tavares play, just keep your eyes on him for an entire shift. You'll watch this guy. You know, he'll go dig into the corners, and then he's going to go to the front of the net. He'll lift up a couple of sticks. He'll push bodies out of the way. He'll do the other things that, you know, some other guys on the team just might not tend to do. But like that's, you know, that's why you get somebody like, okay, granted, like $11 million, like if we're going to go back to the salary thing, like, oh, you're going to pay $11 million to watch this guy, you know, flick a stick up like every, like when he's in front of the net. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying here. Like there's there's definitely like the reason why he makes $11 million and why he has always been so highly touted. He has that like it factor. Like he's able to, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it. He's just so like
He's
so
indescribable, man. He's been majestic this year. Yeah. Yeah,
he really
man.
has 100%.
Who's your best player right now? Like in this.
100%.
Yes. No, if you're looking at the totality of the season, 100%.
Yeah, start to finish, yeah.
We'd be remiss to not mention the beautiful shenanigans at the end of the Philly game. And for those who don't know, you get in a little tussle with Konechny and Matthews, and then Bunzing is there. He's trying to find Konechny, and then he can't really get to him. So Gio comes out of Mark Giordano, comes from our end, flies down the ice into the Philly zone, absolutely tackles Travis Konechny. It was beautiful stuff, straight out of WWE.
Dude,
but a lot of people had a lot of different takes. What do you got, Dave?
Okay, so watching that live, I swear on my life, I heard the sound of a glass break, and I heard Jim Ross going, "My God, that's Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold!" Mark Giordano went into like a flying bear hug, looking like he was, I don't know, Jeff Hardy or like John
You could
Cena.
see it in his eyes, bro. You could see the depth in his eyes.
He was looking like the Undertaker, like on his WrestleMania streak. Like I love that. Like Mark Giordano, ever since he was traded here, like I know, like you could say,
he's
for the
a Leaf
longest
now.
time-
He's officially a Leaf after that
Yeah.
game.
Before I cut you off again, sorry. That's the best contract in the league, or it's like a top 5 contract in the league. Value per
100%.
performance, dude. Kyle Dubas, like he's a statue for that contract, man.
I don't even. I think like I could have signed that contract though. Like Mark Giordano he just came there. He's like, give me the Jason Spezza. Look at me. I am the Jason Spezza now. That's what he said.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Full marks to Mark Giordano.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle Dubas. Shout out to Mark Giordano. But like for the longest time, like that's been Mark Giordano, right? Like he's gonna stick up for his guys, and it's great. Like absolutely fantastic to see. You love to see that.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people took exception to Austin Matthews getting into that tussle with Travis Konechny, and then not following up on his actions. So Cristian, I'll get your opinions first, and then I guess we'll come back to mine. And Bryan, if you want to interject at any time, like you, by all means, you can. 100%.
Yeah. So the person who popularized the whole shenanigans, specifically to Matthews, was Mike Rupp on Twitter. He did this whole breakdown, and it was really good. And once again, it's good to get an outside perspective of someone that's not necessarily part of the Leafs media, right? So, and his argument was basically, Austin, you can't just stand there and just smile and smirk, right? That's going to start wearing on your teammates. They're going to start being like, what the hell, Austin? I come to your defense. Can't you stand up for yourself once in a while? And the most popular rebuttal is, he's Austin Matthews. He's a 60-goal scorer. This guy's not about to start fighting people and all that good stuff, right? And yep, totally get it. And I would kind of sort of agree with it to the extent that like that behavior from Austin in the Philly game was nothing new, right? Like he's been like that his whole career, where he'll get in a little tussle, whether it's like a Montreal player like Shea Weber, Ben Sherratt, something like that, and he'll give him like one shot. People will come to his defense. You'll see him skating away with a smirk, like this is a waste of my time. I'm better than this crap. And I kind of agree. I don't want Austin fighting, but I would also say, like, yeah, I think we have to give Austin a little bit more credit that if it came down to it, if he had to fight, I don't for one second doubt he would. But when does that situation arise? Can you think of any rational situation where Austin Matthews has to fight, or else he will look terrible in the Leafs media? I can't. Playoff game, like unless we're down 3-0 in a playoff series, yes. But still,
Game 7, the cup final,
exactly, where there is no tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Outside of that, I don't want him fighting. And where's the same precedent for McDavid? Do we see McDavid fight or anything? Like, no. And you wouldn't expect him to. But you know that McDavid has a mean streak in him. If somebody gets him in the numbers, he'll remember. He'll give him a little cross-check if he has to. And I feel it's the same with Austin. But I do get Mike Rupp's unique perspective as a former player. And he's giving you the perspective of what teammates would think, right? Where it's, I come to my goal scorer's defense all the time, and I get no appreciation for it. Can he at least be in here with us? And I will say I appreciate that perspective. And we'll see in the future if anything changes from Austin's behavior. What's your take on it, Dave?
Cristian, I fully agree with you, man. Would it have, like, hypothetically, would it have been nice to see Austin Matthews, lay into Travis Konechny? Of course it would. But that's also, like, let's not take away the fact that injuries and stuff happen, right? Do you want him doing that Game 11 against, the Philadelphia Flyers? Definitely not. Do you want him to get injured long-term like that? And it goes into
this is someone with a wrist history as well. Let's mention, right?
Exactly. That's another thing. Definitely something to bring up as well. And this is a player who, the next game, Hockey Night in Canada, a definitely more heated affair. I guess you could say a more high intensity affair for all of Leafs fans. He goes into the next game. The Leafs win 2-1, and he scores both goals. Like, what are the chances that this guy, he gets into a fight with Travis Konechny on Wednesday, and then, he's not able to play Saturday night against Boston, Sunday night against Carolina, where, he came in and played pretty well both nights. I don't know, maybe not tonight as well, but the game yesterday night against Boston, he showed up, right? But I do understand, and like you said before, I appreciate the voice, like an outsider's voice. So Mike Rupp definitely had points to make, and a lot of people have always ragged on the Leafs for kind of not sticking up for themselves, and this definitely isn't a good look. But do they like have to, you know what I mean? Like, you have other guys on the team.
This is the spot. Yeah.
It's not the time or the place here, right? Like, and you can see it on the play. Like, you have Mike Bunting is just raring for a fight. Like, that guy's just, you look at that guy the
Bunting
wrong way.
Versus Konechny would have been a great fight. Like, that could have. That's what people should be asking for, man.
Exactly.
They're the same type of player, man. Same mold of. They're a greasy little rat, right?
They'll get in there, right? And Austin definitely has his mean streak. He's, for lack of a better term, he's a bit of a shit disturber. And I think you have to be in this league. You're going to get walked all over if you don't have a little bit of a mean streak in you. Connor McDavid learned that the hard way, right? He took an entire playoff series where he was getting cross-checked, he was getting hooked, he was getting, he was getting abused. Like, for all intents and purposes, like that stuff happened. If you saw that on the street, that's assault, right? And you have to learn how to adapt to it, right? So and Austin Matthews has kind of come into the league with that type of I don't know if it's a swagger or if it's that's his personality, right? He's adopted to that personality.
What I will say is that, one, I never ever want Backstrom because that's of Ovechkin fighting. If it happens, it happens. Ovechkin can fight.
Yes,
that's just a thing, right? But what I will say is that Mantha, Hathaway, Dowd, and Wilson, they're great on ice, but they can all back up our team. We have a big team, and that's why we have them there, for lack of a better term, right? It just they're willing to support. A good example, if you guys watched the game that you guys beat us earlier this season, you could tell that Hathaway and Dowd wanted to take somebody's head off, even Mantha, but you guys just didn't have anybody.
We didn't have anybody on. We didn't have Simmons or Clifford in, I don't think, right? And if those guys were in, we would have had a fight.
But if that's
100%.
the thing, right? The fact that even Gio is coming to aid Matthews shows that they're looking out for each other. That's a good thing. I don't think that having teammates that look after each other and protect their stars is a bad thing. I mean, I'd be more concerned if Matthews had to fight, if no one came to his aid, right? And it's not worth it. If he gets hurt for whatever reason, you're losing a 60-goal scorer, legitimately. And
we brought up McDavid. McDavid learned this lesson too before he was even in the NHL. You guys remember in his draft year, right? Was that who was it against? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's incredible is, I don't know if he broke his. I think he broke his hand. He broke some bone in his hand. It wasn't even punching the guy. It was he missed his punch and he hit the boards. He punched the boards and broke his hand before the World Juniors, man, in 2015. So
robbed us of that would have been an absolute barn burner if he was there that year. Oh,
and he learned his lesson in the sense that they tried to get Zach Cassian.
He knows his limits. Yeah, he knows where to pick his not fights, but he knows when. Okay, I can get a little.
You pick your battles.
Yes, and that was not the battle for Austin.
But even bringing guys like Lucic and Cassian and stuff like that, they have guys that.
The difference between those guys though and our fighter guys are simply fighters at this point. Simmons and Clifford, if we're putting them in the lineup, it's for the.
I mean, the idea is you guys have a Wilson, you know what I mean? You need
we just don't. We don't.
Ridiculous talent and can back up his team.
Simmons is never going to be on the ice with Matthews. He's not playing first line left wing, right? That's not happening.
Simmons is probably never going to get another 10-goal season for the rest of his career.
Oh my God, no chance. No. Okay, that was a lot of talk for a Philly game, which was really 2 games ago. Do you have anything else to add on the Philly game?
I think that was that might have been the least important. Actually, I don't know if that was
That was pretty
But
important,
I
man.
mean, the Leafs
I think
outgive
the next
themselves
game,
every game. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, this
So
was
so
the.
I guess we could start going on to like um. Well, I don't know if we want to take this like quick, but like I still don't think like like I think we should go through the Boston game for sure, 100%. Like
Yes, yes.
that game was that was a real tight contest. That was, I think, like another just fantastic, like I think start to finish, 60 minutes, the Leafs came prepared. That's
Most
all
complete
we asked
effort.
for.
Yeah.
100%. Like that's literally all I ask for. Other people, like that's what we ask for, right? 60 minutes, just compete, man. Like your talent alone will keep you in games if you have the compete level, right? You give 100%, you're most likely like going to win the game because you have the talent.
Yeah.
That was a real like I wouldn't say a chippy, not a chippy affair, in sense of like
There wasn't too many
little
curriculars, but like within the
yeah.
rules of the game is where it was. Right? It was a physical game, right?
Rule book was kind of thrown away a little bit
Yeah,
for both
yeah,
teams
yeah,
there. There
yeah.
was a couple, missed calls. It wasn't a greatly officiated game, you could
What I
say.
meant to
There
say
was a
is
couple
maybe
of
between the whistles is where it was physical. Yeah,
yeah, those were
that was,
those extracurriculars were kind of like few and far between as compared
yeah.
to other Leafs Bruins matchups. But I think the Leafs really rose to the occasion for that game. So as I mentioned before, Austin Matthews with 2 goals on the night. Um, you know, he had a very he had a very very solid game. The first goal that he scored was like it kind of like came out of nowhere. Like he snuck that puck through Linus Allmark. Like the broadcast didn't pick it up. Nobody really picked it up until like
Allmark
for a
didn't pick it
couple
up.
seconds after he scored. Yeah, nobody picked it up. Yeah, if the broadcast didn't
The
pick it up,
goalie did
Allmark
it, man.
certainly
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
Certainly
yeah,
didn't pick it up 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, that was probably one of their most complete games, top to bottom. Cristian, you got any thoughts before we maybe go into the elephant in the room after that game?
We'll get to the elephant in the room in a second. So I watched this game last night, not live. I watched this game starting at like maybe like 12:30. I watched this game in full. I had to. I had to. I went spoiler free the whole night. Somehow I managed. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch this Leafs Bruins game. There's no chance I'm missing this. And yeah, complete effort for the 60 minutes. Standout effort, especially from the fourth line. We can't even call the fourth line. They're the third line. Zach Aston Reese, David Camp, and Dennis Malgin. Malgin's had himself quite the freaking weekend, man. He has been noticeable every shift. And Zach Aston Reese and David Camp, they're going to take care of the defensive stuff. But Malgin offensively has been very, very noticeable. He's been bringing the dangles out, the speed. He's been doing a lot. Very much impressed. And Zach Aston Reese, he's become like a homing missile. If the puck is in the offensive zone, he it's like in his mind, he's like calculating the trajectory. What is the shortest trajectory to the puck? Okay, I'm just gonna go straight there as fast as I can. Player has the puck, he's just going there. He's running. He's running. I'd love to see it because we didn't see that early in the season. We didn't. So it's been great to see. David Camp, I just love David Camp. The guy's great. Like the guy gives us any offense, we're over the moon. They take care of all the defensive draws. Not all of them, but we know that this team gets put on any defensive draw in our zone all the time. So I want to give credit to those guys there. And we talked about Tavares and how when you pay attention to one of his shifts, you notice some stuff. So there was a shift. I can't remember if it was the second or third period, but Tavares took a penalty. It might have been the third period where he's sitting in the box for 2 minutes praying. It was the third period. He's sitting in the box, just praying that we don't get scored on. We don't get scored on. We kill it. He comes out of the box. It was the most determined John Tavares shift I ever saw. It was like he was putting an extra 5% power into every little stick handle. It was incredible stuff. He just decided, he's like, I'm going to be John Tavares this shift. I need to make up for this penalty I just took. It didn't really lead to anything, but you could just see the change in his mindset. Really cool. Another moment I want to point out, Mark Giordano, once again, like I said, that Philly game, that little hustle we're connecting there, he became a Leaf that night. He brought it into Saturday. that block in front of Shalgren, who we didn't even mention, came in for relief because of Samsonov on the penalty shot from Brad Marchand. He scores on the penalty shot. So, yeah, okay. Well, we'll get more into it too. But anyways, Mark Giordano is like spread out right in front of Shalgren, and he just saves it with his stick. It's a beautiful save by a player. And it was 2 a.m. when I finished this game. I was wired. Let's go to the elephant in the room, Dave. Give us a summary of what we're talking about.
So, Leafs Nation didn't have as much smile going into that third period when they found out that Ilya Samsonov was replaced by backup Eric Shalgren. And that was because the Bruins tied the game at 1 on a penalty shot scored by Brad Marchand. So on the play, this is all speculative. Nothing's been confirmed up until this point as to where the injury occurred, but it's very obvious to see that when Brad Marchand was going in, he definitely like kind of froze Samsonov, kind of got him stuck in place. And while Samsonov was trying to like lean back, his leg got kind of caught under him, and it definitely twisted in a way legs are not supposed to twist.
Good way to put it.
I am no medical professional here, but legs are not supposed to bend like that, right? But what was interesting to see, right, was that play happened, I think, 5 minutes into the second. Samsonov played the rest of the second period. So for some people who saw at first, they were like, okay, you know what? Like, that didn't look that great even, like, when it happened. Like, you could tell, like, kind of went down a little bit awkward. It took him a little bit of time to get up. But then he was up, and it was like, okay, like, you know, everything's fine. And then the third period comes around, and Shalgren's in net. Some people were thinking, like, maybe it was precaution. That's what I thought. Like, first thing was like, okay, maybe it's precaution. And this is
I thought the same
one
too.
time. This is like a not a one-time thing, but like, you know, let's keep them out. They have to play the next night.
Sorry, we have the lead, all that good stuff.
Exactly, 100%. So at this point, we haven't heard anything on Samsonov's an injury update, so we don't know how long he's going to be out for. But it looks like he's going to be expected to miss a bit of time.
I actually didn't know that he played the rest of the period.
Yeah. That's what would lead you to think it's precautionary, right? Because like he played, and it was early in the second period that the penalty shot happens, right? Like he played at least more than like 10 minutes, I think. The period.
It was 5 minutes in.
Oh wow! So
5 minutes in. So there you go.
He played 15 minutes. Yeah.
Would you say that like he played like scared, or like wasn't? Was he taking risks at least, or was he just?
I didn't notice anything.
You know what? I will mention he had to make a couple really, really good saves. I believe that would have been in the second period. I don't think that was in the first period. There's one play in particular where I don't know if it was like a cross crease, but he had to get over quick to make a save, and I was like that kind of like quelled a bit of like fears. I'm pretty sure that would have been in the second period.
Can't remember. Yeah.
So, yeah, like, what was I going to say now? He looked like, like to that point, Brian, he didn't look like, you know, he was hurt. Like some goalies look hurt when they're hurt, right? And they'll let in a bad goal, and it's like, okay, you gotta yank him now because, or else it's going to get really ugly really quick. There was no signs leading to that, basically. So that's going to be something to put on the back burner. Then Eric Shalgren comes in, winless on the season, I'll put. And, you know, he comes in and shuts the door. He doesn't get credit for the win, but he did come in relief and had to make a couple of really, really good saves.
I'll tell you what, he sallied like he got the win, though, eh? He sallied like he got
100%. You know what? For all intents and purposes, he got the win in my books there. He has 2 wins on the season. Spoiler alert, they won again tonight with him in net.
How dare you spoil the game for me, Dave? Why?
You know, he looked really good. after the last week where it was a bit hit or miss for Shalgren, he came in and shut the door when the team really needed it, and the team kind of rallied around him as well. They kind of all rallied around each other. You love to see that, right? There's not much else to say here, personally. Like, it's top to bottom, a really, really good win. You have anything else to add, Cristian?
Not too much. Just the timing. Like, the stage was set for an epic matchup between Leafs and Bruins on Hockey Night in Canada, and they rose to the occasion. You gotta give them credit there. They followed up a win with another win, right? So credit where credit's due there last night, and we move forward to today against the Carolina Hurricanes. Weird start time at 5:00. And I was telling everybody,
Yeah,
yeah, it was good for us. Yeah, I don't know. I was telling everybody I knew, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna wear the reverse retros tonight. Leafs are wearing the reverse retros. Get ready, it's gonna be great. They did not. I don't know where the hell I got that from, but the Canes did. So I somehow got them mixed up there.
By the way,
retro, I'll give them yeah. What do you got on it? Yeah,
not a great look on those reverse retros. Not on the ice.
Nah. If you told me they were just an alternator home jersey, I would be like, yeah.
If you
Well, it
didn't
is their
stand out.
alternate jerseys.
That bottom thing,
It basically is. You don't like the stripe, the warning stripe?
No, I do.
That's the warning thing. Yeah. It was kind of meh.
Yeah, I think meh is the right thing.
Yeah, and you know what? Matt kind of describes how the Leafs played to start the first. Yeah, I would say about 30 minutes. So, this definitely wasn't a complete game for the Leafs, and they did have a couple of things working against them. So, they played last night, earlier start time, 5:00, maybe technically 6:00 due to daylight savings, but we're clutching at straws here. And now you're playing your third string goalie with your, I don't even know, Keith Petruzzelli,
seventh string guy.
Yeah, before this season, I'll be honest with you, didn't even know who it was before the season, but he was a NCAA free agent who's got a 6-0 record right now with the Marlies. So he's stepping it up in the AHL. Maybe we'll get to see some action from him in the near future. Who knows? Either way, great story for him. Maybe not. I wouldn't mind. Listen, I wouldn't mind to see him. Not in a terrible circumstance, but if he gets some game time, what, it'd be interesting to see. I guess you could say.
Once upon a time, Garrett Sparks got a shutout in his NHL debut, so maybe there's some. Yeah. Maybe we can have time for.
Could have a little bit of more magic there.
Once upon a time,
but
a couple of Capitals goalies got hurt, and Yaroslav Halak came in, got hurt, and we had to call somebody up named Braden Holtby. Legend has it says
Dave just called Keith Petruzzelli the next Braden Holtby. That's what I heard.
We're gonna put that on our title. Is Keith Petruzzelli the new Braden Holtby? That's gonna be our clickbait title of the week.
I think we had 3 goalies hurt at that time, including Halak, which means that Holtby would have been the 4th string, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah, you guys have 3 goalies hurt right now, so.
Yep.
Wait, 2? No, 2.
No, 3 if you want to consider Wall, right? He would have been third. He would have been the backup to Shalgren.
That's like 3A, 3B right now, right?
Yeah,
that's true. But yeah, continue with the Canes. For those of you guys who do want to know, I did watch from the second period onwards. I didn't know it was on TSN. Okay.
You got confused. Yeah, so they did have some things working against them, right? And it looks like they didn't start till about 7:00, right? Like when the game was actually supposed to, or like when their games are supposed to start.
They're internal biological clock guys, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, so they went down early. It wasn't looking that good. I think by the midway through the second, they might have only had 7 or 8 shots. And I was in the group chat. I was firing away a couple of messages saying I knew it. This is that. Of course, this team, don't give up. Like, give me 110% effort. Like, that's all I want to see. Like, I get it. Like, you get paid millions of dollars to play a sport.
And you
Just
got it.
at the very least,
You
give
got
me
it.
effort. And it was like, as soon as like my mouth to the Leafs gods' ears, right? They just came alive after that point, midway through the second, near the end of the second, and Calle Yarncroke. What an
Underrated shot,
absolute
bro.
shift.
I'll vote
Yeah.
Yeah, very well. He's a former 20-goal scorer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
He had a couple. I think he's had one or two.
Maybe
20
Sheldon
goal
Keefe
season?
has access to our group chat, guys.
I think he might have a burner in our
Why did you
group
just tell
chat.
everyone that I am Sheldon Keefe? How did you just let
Yeah.
that secret out?
No, but
He's actually recording from Carolina right now, from Raleigh.
I will admit, once Dave did send that message, coincidentally, I did notice that the Leafs did turn it on. But and then from there we saw the momentum shift, and from there, Yarncroc scored the first goal, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hard work.
And it was was it 1-1 going into the third, or did we take the lead at that point?
Yeah. No, it would have been.
Nylander.
It would have been 1-1. I think they scored. They would have scored twice. Yeah, because then the JT goal
Tavares, then Nylander.
was
That's
like
what it was. Yeah.
very early into the second. Oh, sorry, into the third.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that point onward, right? Like something snapped in them, which you like every game. Like, just give us that every game. Like, do you see what happens when you play 100%? I get it. You're not going to do this every single game, guys. Like, that's fine. That's just me saying this. I could talk as much shit as I want. I'm, recording a podcast from my own room. I'm not making $11 million to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs here. But, like, how great is it
I'm open to it.
to just be the underdog and come through for once? Like, by all intents and purposes, like, the Leafs should not have come out of that game with 2 points, but they did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that's what I texted, right? I said, I said, Leafs, we're getting beat right now. We're just plain getting beat. And sometimes, even when you're getting beat, you find a way to win if you're a good team. And the Leafs have achieved good team status for at least one more day after that comeback win. Shout out to Stefan Nason, the Canes goal scorer, former Leafs
good.
Stefan Nason, who played one game. Really so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Okay.
He killed us.
I don't know. He played 1 game for the Leafs. I don't even know if it was. I don't think it was like. I think it might have been the bubble season. I honestly don't even remember. Honestly, I knew I heard the name. I'm like, Stefan Nason. Did he play with us? And then Gord Miller mentioned it. So thank you, Gord, for confirming it.
They have a very good team. Like, individually, each player does its work, and like, obviously they don't have like the big standout names are Nekis and Aho, and Svechnikov, but like. They're all like great players, like each and every single.
Natchez was very, very noticeable tonight. That guy was ripping shots at Shelgren.
So
like
good.
That was you could tell that the Canes' game plan tonight was just throw pucks on that, like not throw pucks on that, but if you have a shot, if you are a talented shooter, shoot. Jarvis was doing it, and Natchez. Those were the two that I really, really noticed. And what's weird is the Nason goal looked almost identical to Austin's first goal against the Bruins. Did you notice that, Dave? Like, it was just like the same thing. It was the same thing. Yeah, so I saw
it's
that.
A weird bounce, right? A little weird bounce leading to like just like a weird mismatch play. Sometimes like that's what you got to do to get it in, right? I mentioned it in our group chat, and I guess I'll bring it up again. Like, Carolina's got that team. It's not the Carolina Hurricanes. It's Rod Brind'Amour Hurricanes, guys, right? So Carolina doesn't have that, an Austin Matthews superstar. Run down the list of teams we could name players. Like, we named 3 of them: Aho, Svechnikov, and Natchez, right? All 3 of them are fantastic in their own rights, but are they, franchise? Oh, sorry, not franchise. Like, are they like the stars of the league type players?
They're a tier below.
Maybe not.
They're not generational
talents. They're that.
But like,
they're that one beat tier, I would
player,
say.
I'd argue. Yeah, they're not generational.
Talents. He's franchise players and generational talents. There's definitely a little bit of a gap there, right? But what Rod Brind'Amour is able to do is kind of like milk wine out of a stone. I forget what that what the actual analogy is there.
Some
but
liquid,
he's
you
able
do
to get,
something, another liquid
Yeah.
comes out. Okay.
he is able to get the most out of his of all
Yes.
his talent, kind of like a John Tortorella does with seemingly less talented players. But what Brindamore is able to do is get players of
Talented
all
players
types
to
of
buy
talent,
in.
high
Yeah.
high skill, lower skill, to buy into
Yeah.
that one system. Just
Yeah.
try your ass off, and I love it. If I was on that team, dude, I'd be running through brick walls for Rod Brindamore,
Yeah.
and you could tell like the guys love him, right?
Yep.
He's really made the Carolina Hurricanes into his own. And I know Bryan absolutely despises him for it. Like, just
I don't like him. Not because I think he's a bad guy. Or I don't like him in the sense that.
No, I heard he's a criminal.
The reason I don't like him is because we have to deal with this team like 5 times a season, and it just.
I wouldn't want to.
It's becoming a rivalry that like I didn't want to see come up. You know, they used to be our beating dogs back in the Southeast Division, but now they've kind of overtaken us as like a really good team in the division, and he had a good credit to the coach for that. That's what I have to say.
I want to give more shout outs again. Leafs game tonight. Fourth line. That's really the third line. Fantastic again. Dennis Malgin. My God.
Dennis Malgin.
Aston Reese. Let's go. David Camp. Let's go. So once again, shout out to that line.
Dennis Malgin. Man, he's been a little. I wouldn't say unlucky, but he's been getting really close. He could definitely have more. He's definitely takes his chances 100%. Now, is he always going to score on all his chances? Definitely not, right? But 2 goals in 8 games. You might look at that and be like, okay, like not a great return. But I think he hit the post last night, I believe, against Boston. I know JT did, and he did as well on the short side. Definitely could have had maybe 1 or 2 goals here and there. Maybe it's not coming for him right now, but I think keeping up that type of play on that line with Kemp and Czar, as we're going to call him.
The Czar.
The Czar, yeah. I think that might be the line going forward 100%. I'm really liking the fourth line. We're going to call them the third line just because
that other line is just so mismatched, right? Like it's just here's the spare parts other than Yarncrow.
Right.
Yeah, Yarncrow has been good. Like let's not I don't want to throw him in the dumps or whatever. He's scored his 3rd goal tonight, but even without the goals, like I've liked his play. But Kerfoot and Engvall just haven't been able to find a spot so far the whole season where they've looked good, honestly, right? But I like Kerfoot as a player.
The one thing that we could mention though is we really got to see the Sheldon Keefe line blending combination tonight, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big thing to take away. So Alex Kerfoot getting the promotion to the Austin Matthews line. So it was him, Matthews, and Matthews' former line mate in William Nylander when he first came into the league. They had I would say honestly, all 4 lines when they started making that switch, really started to come alive. And we saw it then with Marner and JT, who, had that. We know that they have proven chemistry. Willie and Austin have that proven chemistry. So I don't think it's a bad idea every so often. Listen, are you going to play 82 games of Austin Matthews and William Nylander on the same line? No, but, maybe...
It keeps the players on their toes, right? Like, you have to mentally adjust. Like, just even in, like, freaking men's hockey, if I have to take a shift with a different line, you have to be more aware. Because each player has 100%. Different tendencies, and it just allows you to refocus, right? So...
We do something similar.
Kudos to Keith.
Well, we used to do something similar.
Every team does. Yeah. Every team, right? No team sticks with the same lines for stretches of 10 games plus. It doesn't happen.
The big one was always like Kuznetsov or Backstrom, like if it's to play with Ovechkin. You know what I mean? We'd always change that out.
Yeah.
As well. Now it's going to be more Kuznetsov, and it will be for the next probably forever. But no, I agree. It definitely changes the system, changes the aura a bit, and it's good.
Bruins have it. They go to the perfection line every now and then, right? They try to stay away from it just to balance out their lines, but that's the That's the go-to line if things go wrong. We saw it a little bit. I think I don't know if we actually saw it a little bit last night, but they mentioned on the broadcast.
By the end, they started putting them out a lot more together.
I'm sure Edmonton does it too with McDavid and Draisaitl. Chicago back in the day, Kane and Taves. You throw them together, like
that's got to be the worst name for a line ever. Like, I don't want to get too much into it, but that's the worst.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it because it's a pretty damn good line just from seeing it firsthand. Yeah. Like, I get it.
Like we had 100 years of NHL history, and you're going to say that's the perfection. Yeah. Like it's not like Gretzky and Yari Curry never played together, right? Or Jaromir Jagr and you never played together.
No, that's a good point.
I get it though. They are very good.
I do want to say this before because like this is the one thing I have about the game, like the Leafs game against Carolina. Nylander's goal, if you look at the whole shift, fantastic. Well done from him.
That's a very non-Nylander. I shouldn't say that. Let's give him credit. That was a great effort by Nylander.
That is
you don't necessarily expect it.
I didn't expect it. I'm not gonna
lie. That is a recent Nylander goal. I think like Nylander's kind of started evolving over the years, right? He was definitely the whipping boy during that contract negotiation holdout.
Dark ages.
Stuff, and then he started, and then he came back, and he was like, he kind of looked a little bit of like a shell. Good. Yeah, he wasn't good.
He was not conditioned. He was not.
100%. And he did look a little bit like lackadaisical. And he does have his moments where he looks lackadaisical. But that definitely doesn't take away from his talents, right? And one of his talents is outworking other people. That's what he does. He does things like that. Whether you notice it or not, he's not the type of guy that's going to, truck a player because that's not what he's built for. But what he is built for is going into the corners. He'll make a little nifty play with his stick and he'll take the puck like just right under your nose. Like you won't even notice. It's like one time it's here and like the next second it's gone, right? That's the type of stuff that William Nylander has been doing. And it's great to see that evolution. It's kind of started dispelling a lot of that much, like sometimes it was warranted some of the hate that he was getting a little bit, I would say to an extent. But
he got a bad
recently, he definitely got a lot more flack for what he actually like brings to the table.
Yeah, like it even reminds me of the Raptors, like until even until like during last season, like Siakam. You bring up Siakam to some Raptors fans, and they just remember his bad performance in the bubble year against the Celtics, and it's like
the washing machine.
This is their best player, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now.
Put a little bit of respect on your.
Yeah, like we talked about this last game, man. I mean, we talked about this last podcast. My philosophy: I don't care who the hell you are. You play for my team. I'm cheering for your success. Okay, like right now, still Justin Hall. He took the bad penalty yesterday, today that led to the nascent goal on the power play. But my God, I want the guy to succeed. I'm never gonna not cheer for a guy who plays for my team. I don't care how bad you're performing. Doesn't mean I want you to continue performing bad. Some people look for that. I'll never understand that. I want to get to Nick Aube-Kubel just because we'll give a little bit of a take. We'll see what Bryan thinks about him. But I'll give a shout out to. I noticed Brent Burns a lot tonight as well on the Canes. Like the guy was just firing pucks, especially in the second half of the game. And going back to the Nylander goal, let's not forget the context of who the defenseman was on that play. Jacob Slavin. Like this guy's touted as one of maybe the most underrated defensemen in the game, especially on the defensive side of things. And I think he's the best defensive wise. He might legitimately have the case to be the best defenseman. I think the guy does not take penalties. The guy maybe takes 1 or 2 penalties a year. And he probably leads the lead in defensive takeaways every season, right? You don't necessarily expect... Well, no, you do expect takeaways from a defenseman, but it's rarely a defenseman that leads the league in takeaways as far as like I can remember. It's usually Mark Stone. I think Matthews has done it a couple times. Historically, you always just assume anything from the year 2000, 2010. Pavel Datsyuk, just give it to him every single year. Bergeron's probably up there. But Nylander made that play on a goddamn good defenseman. I'm surprised. What do you got to say, Brian?
I'm surprised Slavin doesn't get more hype. Like, obviously, I see him so much, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is so good. Like I've been on like this hype train since like 2019, and
He's
Yeah.
understated because offense isn't necessarily his bread and butter. Like he
yes,
does like produce like 40 to 40 points is what you'd expect, maybe 50 or 60 in a good year.
he produces
But
enough.
it's the well-roundedness. Yes, yeah. It's
But
Mhm.
how
like
well-rounded he is.
on
He's a
pure defense, like he's like
yeah,
almost unmatched. I'd say. I mean, like he's been doing it for so many years now as well. I don't know. Maybe because
yeah,
he plays
Mhm.
in a crappy market, right? He doesn't get the
Yeah.
clout, but I don't know. He probably gets into every single first pairing in the league for
100%.
just for his defense capability.
He's a
100%.
number two at least on every team. 100%. Nick Kubel. Let's talk for an hour about Nick Kubel. No, I'm joking, but
Yeah.
I just want to touch
Ghost.
on it.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause I don't know
He
much
was
about him, to be
literally
going
honest.
invisible for me.
I
Oh,
don't know, like
great.
going into the season, I looked at like the fringe signings we made. So let's say the fringe signings are the Czar, Vinak, Malgin, and Adam Gaudette. And whenever I talk to my friends about these guys, I would always point to one of them as the Jimmy VC of the four because the Jimmy VC is just as soon as a signing was made, or it only took me one viewing to say this guy's not going to be on the team long term. That was me with Jimmy VC that year. He scored in his first game, and I was like, this guy sucks. He scored and he sucks. This year, my guess was Adam Gaudette, and I guess to an extent you could say I'm right, but the guy didn't make the team. He got injured in preseason. Like we saw nothing of him. Whatever. I didn't think it was going to be Abe Kubel. I had high hopes for Abe Kubel. I thought he could be a staple on the fourth line, especially with Zach Aston Reese and David Camp. I thought that's a beautiful trio right there. That's going to be great. I had no worries about it. And yeah, I just honestly, from my perspective, I feel like we could have been a little bit more patient. I wouldn't have minded to give him a few more games. Now, it was a blessing in disguise because of our goalie situation, so there is that. But I don't know. I would have been more patient, but Keith's quotes did remind me of Jimmy VC. If you watch the Amazon doc, you remember that Keith, he gave VC every chance. He pulled him over at practice. He's like, "Hey man, like, come on, man. I know you got this in you. You can do this." And VC was like pissed. Like he was not. The vibes were not good. And I got the same vibes from Keith's quotes where he was just saying that, I talked to Abe Kubel and I was telling him what we want out of him, and for whatever reason, there wasn't a good enough response. So we don't get the Amazon doc this year, so I don't know what Abe Kubel's what his vibe is in practice, but from Keith quotes, I guess it was the Jimmy VC vibes. Bryan, I don't know. I hope he does well. I liked him before he came to Toronto. I still hope he does well. I think he could be something still.
I don't think he gets into the starting roster. I'll be honest with you guys.
Really? Wow.
Even right
Well,
now?
you got to give him a chance. You picked him up on waivers.
Wow.
You have to at least let him
No.
audition. Come
Yeah, at
on.
least give him a game.
The reason I say that is because
10 minutes.
our worst forward, realistically, right now is Sonny Milano, right? Sonny Milano is a skilled guy.
Okay.
I don't think that like he's playing on the Strom line, right? Like that's a production line. I don't think that Abe Kubel would be.
They're going to give him a game.
They'll
give him
I'll
at
see
least
one way or
one.
another.
I'll see one or
100%.
two games max, but if he's gonna like who he's gonna take out realistically, McMichael because he has some vendetta, like Laviolette has some vendetta against McMichael. Or
He might.
Who plays with Hathaway and Dowd right now? Who plays with
Protas.
Hathaway and Dowd?
Protas, but Protas,
Protash. Alexei Protash.
he's
I don't know why I call
fantastic,
him.
man. Like that's a
Okay,
guy
so
that,
I
like,
don't know.
that's
And he's
guy
a
that
big
really
guy,
does-
right?
Yes.
He's okay. So maybe, but you made the claim. Like you didn't have to make the claim. So he's gonna get at least an
I think that-
audition.
I think
It might
that-
just be for like
I think it's
band-aids,
Yeah,
basically.
like if somebody, let's say, I'm gonna knock on a lot of wood right now, but let's say Marcus Johansson gets hurt, right? Mantha comes up, Kubel third line, done, like instant NHL ready guy.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
do I think that he's good enough to get into the team? Do I think that he's going to be a guy that's playing for my team every single night? I hope not. One and two, probably
I don't
not.
know.
And
I had higher hopes. That's all I'll say. I
Brian.
did. I don't know why, but I did.
The one thing I'll say, Brian, it was like, I think the worst thing you have, like the worst place to, or the worst thing you have to be as a forward in the NHL, especially going into especially being like a bottom six forward, is somebody who's like a ghost, and not a ghost in a good way, not like Austin Matthews ghosting, the other team and then popping up for 2 goals, right? Like kind of like falling behind enemy lines.
They
Like,
pretend he even exists. Yeah.
dude, you pull up Nicholas like Abe Kubel highlights from this year. I don't think there was a single thing. Like he legitimately was a ghost, and I think that's the worst thing to be as an energy forward in that bottom six. You gotta like do something here. I'll be
He
fair to
did
him.
lay hits, but like I didn't notice him
I
that
could
much.
see
Yeah.
him laying hits, especially towards the end of his tenure with the Leafs. But man, holy smokes, that guy was. It was just like not there for him. I don't know. Maybe a change of scenery does something for him, but
I don't know.
I had more patience. I did.
But like, if he's gonna be physical, we don't need that. Hathaway, that would do that already, right? If he's gonna score, I mean, I don't expect a waiver claim guy to score. I don't understand. Like, it's just a band.
Keith builds Knack. Keith built Knack in the preseason. He's like, yeah, we want this guy to do maybe things that Bunting did last year. That's what he said. So
And
somebody thinks he has offense in him, and I'm sure that's what Brian McClellan thinks.
he
Honestly,
had 22 points last season. I mean, mind you, on a stacked Avs team. I hope he can replicate some of that success here. Just like a shred of a Stanley Cup winning team success on my team would be nice right now. But I don't know. Like, I would have rather we called up someone from the minors, or maybe not even made the claim at all. To be honest with you guys, I could be perfectly wrong. I could be completely wrong, and that's perfectly fine. I don't claim to be an expert on Abe Kubel. I don't even can't even spell his name out, right? But I don't know. We need to see. I don't want to give out any predictions right now. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
I genuinely just don't know because, well, let's be honest.
We'll get your thoughts next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he even plays, right?
I want to put a label on what Dave said, where you're a ghost and you just nothing good, nothing bad happens when you're on the ice. That is Lindholm syndrome. That's what that is.
But
I was thinking about him last night.
Legit.
Okay, man. What the?
I heard Hampus Lindholm too many times. I was just saying Lindholm.
Yeah. I mean,
Hampus Lindholm.
He's a good player, man.
Yeah, man.
He's a very good
Hampus
player,
Lindholm's been fantastic offensively this year. You know, Parley Lindholm, he played for the Bruins after, man. We put him on waivers.
That's what I mean. I was like, wait a minute.
So weird.
There still?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That guy's a weird player.
All right. So we are about at the 90-minute mark. We're going to take a quick break because I'll be honest, I got to use the washroom. And, we've been at this for a while.
Who would have thought?
Guys, get some coffee, get some water, and let's take a quick little break. All right, guys, we are back. I'm back from my washroom break. The guys are back from their little talk. I don't think any of them went to go get water or anything.
I have it beside me.
I come prepared, Brian. Come on.
This is my second fill up. Like after I go to the washroom, I run downstairs quickly, fill up my water bottle, because I don't know. I periodically drink during the drink water during the
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's also your fourth piss break, so
we figured it out.
It is actually, but no, I oddly enough drink like a ridiculous amount of water like every single day. Like I drink like
that's good though. That's good.
But it is good, but like I don't know, like I have to go to the washroom like every hour, every 2 hours. It's like I don't know. It's kind of scary, but if you kind of off topic, but if you can include liquids, I drink like 9 glasses of tea every single day. So like I'm drinking like constantly. And I don't know if that's
specifically tea you're saying, or
it's I switch it up. English breakfast, green tea. The problem with drinking too much green tea is that you green tea dissolves iron.
Start peeing green. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, no.
You turn into the Jolly Green Giant.
But yeah, tea's good. Water's good. Coffee, I'm a big fan of in the mornings, right? But after 4 p.m., I feel like the caffeine gets to me. I get jittery and stuff.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
I don't drink. Literally all I have, like anywhere. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking milk. That's literally that is the entirety of my variety. That is it.
I remember that.
Coffee. I feel like I would love coffee, but I don't start it because I know if I do, I won't stop. So I just don't start.
I remember.
And I've been able to not have
Good.
pop. Like I don't have pop. I'm not gonna start either. Same
Pop
thing. I feel like
stinks,
if I start, I won't stop. So I just don't start.
I remember in high
Dude,
school.
Water milk got me by.
It is not worth it.
Every day, large chocolate milk and 2 cookies.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, man, yeah. So, yeah.
Those
Let me not parade around like I'm healthy or something. My God, yeah, I'm a sweets fiend. I'm a cookie connoisseur. Okay,
No, but
what do you think I'm having after this podcast?
Oh.
Milk and cookies. I'm sorry, I'm a 5-year-old like that. I am. If you listen to this
Hey, they
and you hear
hit,
us bring
man.
up food, you'll hear it. They do hit. They've been hitting for
They hit.
20 freaking years. Okay,
super like
Probably longer.
even
Definitely
more-
longer than
even
we
more
were
off
here.
topic, but
up the womb.
my office they got like catering from like the YCDSB or something like that. So we had like the original
No.
Brissani cookies, and I just
Oh,
took like
stop.
9 of them, like just like because no one
You
wanted
sent
them.
a picture, yeah.
Oh my god, guys! It was like heaven. It was like such a big throwback, and it looked so, like for the rest of the day I was like jittery and stuff, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel good when I got home. I'll say that.
They're always undercooked. For those who didn't like
Oh,
understand the
those were the
context, we're just
best,
talking
bro.
about our high school cookies, like the high school
The
cafeteria
cafeteria
cookies.
ones.
Yeah,
But those
I feel like every high
suck,
school
man.
probably has them. They're just undercooked, but they do hit. They do hit.
When
I can definitely
when they
attest
gave
to
you the
that.
cookies, if you got like 1 or 2 of them, and like you would get the grease on the
paper,
napkin.
That's how you know
Oh
it's
my
good.
gosh, you knew that those were gonna be 10 out of 10 cookies. Those and those morning breakfast sandwiches, dude. Oh
We
my
have
god.
them. We have the something similar
Oh,
at work.
stop. Okay, I'm gonna
It's
come
like-
over to your work.
It's like $3 for the sausage, egg, cheese, and
Oh,
you can
so
get
good.
bagel or you can get like English muffin. Oh my god.
No, the bagel was the way. The bagel was like, goated. That with the
Yes.
large chocolate milk in the morning
White
would
cho-
literally
you're-
keep me fueled.
You're
See,
did you
no,
say white milk?
He said chocolate milk.
Oh,
No, he said
chocolate.
No,
chocolate.
the large chocolate milk.
Oh, okay.
So I'll tell you
No,
why
I've
I was
never touched the
addicted to
white
the
one.
chocolate milk, though. What the reason the chocolate milk at Brissani at our high school was so good because of the brand. I'm telling you, Seal
Mhm.
Test is like over here for chocolate milk, and Nielsen is like over here. Like they
Oh,
don't
they're
compare.
not. Yeah,
They don't
100%.
compare, man. Yeah,
They
that's why
really
Tim's
don't.
at
Dude,
Seal Test.
that chalky taste that you get from the seal test, just chef's kiss, man. Like
I had one last night.
that
I'm not even gonna lie.
that coating that it leaves in like your throat and your. There's nothing that compares to that.
I indulged in one last night. I did.
Oh, so good.
Chocolate
I
milk
love
or
chocolate
white
milk,
milk,
dude.
Christian?
Chocolate milk Seal Test from Tim Hortons, large.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Man.
Are you a white milk guy, Brian? Don't say it to us. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh,
Yeah, but I am. Like I
So,
100% am. Like every
I
night.
like white milk. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but like,
Christian,
come on. There's
white milk, chocolate
one.
milk,
There's
and tea,
one
which do
option
you
there.
take?
Okay,
No,
that's no. It's chocolate milk. Yes.
see,
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
And that's not a question, Brian. No, no
This is a
way.
revelation, man.
But I will say that
You've committed crimes against the dairy world. Okay.
I will say that the best chocolate milk or milk is the 25% less sugar. The
Excuse me.
Nestle.
Dude,
one,
if
like 25% less
I'm getting chocolate milk, dude, just give me all the sugar. At
No,
that
trust me,
point,
Yeah,
like,
man.
it takes it's like just a little bit less sugar to make it like taste good. Like I don't know, I can't explain. I feel like
I don't
the
know.
original is too sweet.
I mean, I gotta try it then, Brian.
But
Yeah.
dude, Shoppers Drug Mart.
The original
it's
is
$1.99
sweet,
for the liter. No, like it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, I put my silver approval on that one. But no, if it's chocolate milk and white milk, I take the white milk.
You're nuts. Okay. Speaking of
That's a tough
$1.99,
pick.
there's some there's some teams in the NHL that are playing like their team was valued at $1.99 by Sportico. I want to bring up the St. Louis Blues because I was honestly debating wearing. I have a St. Louis Blues hat for the reason I have one is because this is
Don't
off
say it.
topic
No,
but on
chill,
topic.
Chill.
Okay.
I know where you're going. No. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
Okay. All right. I have a St. Louis Blues hat though, and I was gonna wear it because I was gonna be like, I feel bad for these guys. I need to wear it to, give them some good luck. But man, they've been bad after starting the season 3-0. I think they're 3-6-0 now, and it's been because of a couple reasons. We've seen Binnington in the news for all of the wrong reasons. It seems like every single time I see something about Binnington, it's like just some stupid fight he wants to get
Just
into.
chirping
Like it's
somebody
nuts. Just chirping.
after getting pulled for 5 goals or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
lit up.
The other thing to mention too is Ryan O'Reilly has been like beyond bad for them. Like the captain of the St. Louis Blues, 11 in the Stanley Cup in 2019, has been non-existent. I think he's got like 2 or 3 points. Just I don't know what's going on there. Because if you just compare the roster this year to last year, there's two differences actually. Now that I think about it, two differences, and you guys can tell me if this should change the record this drastically. The two omissions from the roster are David Perron and Billy Huso, both Detroit Red Wings now. So I don't know, but this is a team who had a top nine last year, where every single forward had over 20 goals. You're talking Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Vladimir Tarasenko, Brandon Saad, Perron, who we mentioned. I'm at 7 right now. Ivan Barbashev, that's 8. Number 9, please forgive me for not remembering number 9 on the St. Louis Blues, but he had 20 goals too. That's all you need to know. So how does a team go from 9 goal scorers over 82 games to this poor start? Do you guys have any ideas, or do you have any faith that they can turn it around, or
I'll be honest with you
are
guys.
the Blues going to be in the basement?
I'm not a Ryan O'Reilly fan. I don't know. I feel like that cup run was just a one-off. I know that Christians are a really big fan of him, but
No, not specifically Ryan O'Reilly. I like the Blues though. The
yeah,
Blues are my central team. They are my central team. It's
I'm
color
just,
scheme related. They're called the Blues. Blues is my favorite color.
Even Binnington, I know he's a York Region representative, respect, but I don't know. I'm not a Blues fan.
You're not sold on them, right?
No, I've never been. I feel like they had one cup run. Other than that, they've been getting knocked out in the second round every single season. And eventually it was going to crumble. I mean,
Dave, what do you? Sorry, go on, Brian. I thought you.
I don't know. I think losing Pietrangelo is also a huge loss for them. I feel like they're still feeling the impact of that now. And speaking of Pietrangelo, Josh Anderson, man. But before we get into that, if that ever comes up, yeah, losing your captain's a big thing.
Yeah.
Genuinely, right? I mean, the Islanders, for example, now they're in the mud, or they've been in the mud. Or not in the mud, but they will be based on our projections this season.
Time.
Sorry, Dave. I don't know. I've never been sold on them, specifically Ryan O'Reilly. That's where I'm going with this.
I think there's always kind of one odd team out. I still have faith. I still think it's a bit early for them to kind of write their season off. I still think Rob Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich, they're all, and Ivan Barbashev, those 4 at least, are talented enough to start turning. All it takes is a couple of them to, really start turning it on for that franchise to then start turning it on. But I'm not a Jordan Binnington guy. He had his cup run, but I think right now
that legitimately
he was hot for one run. It gave him an NHL contract to last him till I think it was 6-7 years that they gave him. I think he's an AHL goalie. I'll be honest with you. I don't even think he's an NHL goalie anymore. He's legitimately not a good goalie. He lets in the most ridiculous goals. He's not good, guys. Let's stop pretending that this guy is Conn Smythe. Was he the Conn Smythe winner? No, it was Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly was the Conn Smythe winner.
But definitely breakout player of the year for Jordan Binnington. He's not good. Guys, let's.
Do you think?
Get past this match here.
Do you think Binnington could put a Brent Burns and have a Hall of Fame career at a different position? Do you think we can make Binnington
playing
a
as
fourth line enforcer?
Maybe. I mean,
playing as a Ty Domi.
He has an ego, or some. He has an ego.
Oh, 100%. No.
Yeah, I mean, you win a cup, you get an ego, 100%. I would do this thing. I get it.
No, but even his
for
interviews,
sure,
man, he's just cold. I don't know.
So for context, he's played 7 games. He's got a .879 save percentage. He's 3-4. And Thomas Greiss is their backup, because I was curious who their backup was. Thomas Greiss, 3 games, .915 save percentage. He's 0-2.
What was
Yeah,
Binnington's save percentage?
879. So
That put up
Well,
Rice.
Freddie Anderson coming into tonight was 889. Yeah, I mean, like I said, 3-6-0 it's only 9 games in. I'm looking at the roster right now. There is some guys that have got some
They have a talented
standout
team.
performances. Yeah, Justin Falk is quietly 10 points in 9 games. That's an interesting one.
Just
they
Uh,
have pieces. There's no doubt about it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it doesn't help when you're playing a third stringer net. Like we've seen it, Christian, right? It's like running Eric Shalgren. They only happen to give their third stringer a boatload of money because he won them a cup.
okay.
Like let's not paint.
If we look at St. Louis, if we remove the cup run, I know it sounds bad for as a Capitals fan, but like they've literally only beaten Minnesota in the. It feels like every season just beat Minnesota in the first round, lose to some team in the West that goes far. That's it.
Lose to Chicago.
Lose to Chicago, for example, right? Like it's the same story. It's the same. It sounds bad as a Capitals fan because if you remove the cup run, beat Columbus in the first round,
Lose to Pittsburgh.
or Philly lose to Pittsburgh in the second round. But
my rebuttal is last year took Colorado to game 6, and they had a lot of people believe. They had me believing, but obviously they didn't do it. But they were good against Colorado. I'd say their missed opportunity was the was it the bubble? No, I think it was before. What was the year they lost to Vancouver? They lost there.
That would have been the bubble.
Oh,
it
right.
has to have been the bubble
Because then Vancouver went to that was the Demko year where Demko was like lights out. So that was the COVID bubble.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if they even lost to them though. I can't know, but I feel like that was their missed year where they could have done something big again in the playoffs.
They would
They
have.
didn't.
That would have been repeat. That would have been back to back if they.
Yeah.
Because that was the year
Okay.
after they went in there on their cup run. I'm not I haven't personally been sold. Like Binnington had a good playoff run last year in relief of Ville Husso, who unfortunately, after a couple, it was I think maybe 1 or 2 games in playoffs where he started getting lit up, kind of backs against the wall, and Binnington has to come in there, bails them out he almost bailed them out of the series against Colorado, even though they were getting fed. Like no team was gonna realistically compete against the Avs last year. Valiant effort. Don't get me wrong, but let's also remember the reason why Ville Husso was thrust into the position that he was in was because Jordan Binnington was A, being an asshat, and B, being an AHL goalie. Like that's you pick your poison here. Like.
And
Come on.
so we can talk about the fact that Ville Husso was no longer St. Louis Blue. And you want to know who basically took his spot? I just looked at this right now to see the cap hit. Nick Leddy, who was not good last year, has been signed. Well, was signed before the season to a 4x4. So he's making $4 million until 2026. He's got 2 points in 9 games. His analytics have not been good for a couple years now. He makes $4 million. You know what you could have done with $4 million is I think re-signed Ville Husso. So I think we've figured out where the Blues have gone wrong there. Okay, all right. Case mystery solved.
Sticking with the Blues, just for one last thing, and Binnington specifically. Is Binnington Team Canada's goalie right now, based on the cup run? And because if you look at it, who else would it be? Carter Hart, maybe?
Yeah, we can throw Carter Hart in there.
I think it's by default, maybe.
Let's do this off
Mackenzie
the top of our
Blackwood.
heads. I'll give you one. Actually, let me just make sure. I'm almost positive he's Canadian. This is still digging. Logan Thompson.
Okay.
Logan Thompson would be there. Okay. Caps. Kemper would have to be in the conversation.
He's in the conversation. But, your national team goalie really Darcy Kemper? Do you really?
No, trust me, I know. This has been a conversation. Even if there was going to be an Olympics in 2020, right? So
who's the best? The best Canadian.
2022. Sorry.
In the past 3.
It's probably Carter Hart.
The best Canadian performing goalie technically would be Binnington based on the cup run. No, would that not be an argument?
I think they would. Yeah, I mean, think of it like this: if you had to make the team this year, I mean, like
Right
today,
now,
think
this
you're
right
making the
now.
team today. It's you're going 100% Carter Hart over Jordan Binnington,
Yes,
100%.
but then again,
You're
like
going Logan Thompson before Jordan Binnington, 100%,
if you were to make the team
Yeah.
without
today,
a
right?
doubt.
But the fact that Bennington's even in the conversation or like even like has something in contention is kind of ridiculous to me. Like how far have we fallen as Canadian goalies? The Canadian goalies have fallen off. I mean, we went from Carey Price, Marc-Andre Fleury to and
Martin
Martin
Brodeur,
Brodeur,
Roberto Luongo.
Luongo. That's the thing.
Patrick Waugh.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
then
golden age right there, man. That's nuts.
now you have Carter Hart.
That's like
Ugh.
10 years right there for 20, almost
Yeah.
20 years of
I'm
just
trying
like
to think of like any
absolute.
crazy good prospects. I can't think of any good Canadian goalie prospects. Is Sebastian Costa, I think Detroit. Brian, do you know if he's American or if he's
Wasn't he in the
I,
junior?
Canadian?
Wasn't he on the
I
juniors team?
I have no idea.
I
I'll be
think
honest with
so.
you.
Yeah, let's take a
I,
look
I
here.
believe he was on the juniors team. But then you also have guys like Blackwood, who's actually not been having a
A
terrible
little bit of a
season. He's
comeback season now, yeah, but it's
kind of
very
been
early.
put to the back burner there for in favor of Vitek Vanacek. But listen, Canada's
It feels
got
like
slim
all.
pickings right
It
now
feels like every single
in
elite
net.
goalie, like, is Russian. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, like I cannot wait for Ilya Samsonov on the Russian team. Like,
That's
it's gonna
not.
be really cool.
That's not what I meant.
Because they're not going to be able to have Russia on the jersey. It's just going to be like
Smiley
Samson's
face.
going to take over the marketing. No, it's just going to be a smiley face,
Smiley.
and it's just
Smile.
every
It's
he's
gonna
going
be
to
the
say,
true
"We
smile.
got some Russian smile today." I
The
can't
thing,
wait.
it's gonna he's it's gonna be the Drew jersey. The
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
a
the not
reversible.
but yeah the other side.
who's the
Yeah,
Russian Justin Bieber? That's who we need to find. Okay, okay. We brought up Mackenzie Blackwood earlier. Let's transition into Mackenzie Blackwood's team because I'd like to bring him up. The New Jersey Devils, another
Fantastic.
team that opposite of the Blues, right? Instead of starting 3-0, I think they started 0-3. And where are they now? 7-3-0 or 8-3-0? Like they're
yeah,
on a
they're 8-3
heater,
now.
8-3-0, and they just ran through the Flames and the Oilers, right? Like those are two pretty good teams, right? Or these teams that we expect to be pretty good. They lead the league, or even if they don't lead the league, they're up there, probably top 10 in a bunch of advanced metrics, things like expected goals, just a lot of the common things that you see from Jay Fresh, where blue is good, red is bad, all that good stuff. They're in the blue. They're in the blue. So,
Siegenthaler,
do you guys think they're Siegenthaler? Siegenthaler, we know that Brian's a big fan. I like him
yo,
too. Very underrated guy.
there was
Very underrated.
there was one play he absolutely stopped McDavid. Like McDavid had nowhere to go.
That's from last year, right? Or no, was that? Are
This
you
year,
talking
no,
about the
this from
game?
this year.
Oh, okay,
It was like 2 weeks.
okay.
It was like a week ago or something. But McDavid was going like full speed. You know the classic thing where he goes from like the right side skates and tries to cut in the middle.
A little bit of crossovers, yeah.
Siegenthaler just tied him up. The puck was just in the corner, and that like you don't see many
Just
players doing
killed the
that.
play.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
It's
no,
the
no
it's
shot.
it's the
legitimately.
equivalent to that one clip where Mikheyev beat McDavid in a foot race, and we never shut up about it. It's that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
You know what I'm talking about, Brian? You know
yes,
that clip?
fastest
I know.
skater on earth.
I've heard way too much
Ilya
about that
Mikheyev.
because I'm friends with you guys. But
Do you
yeah,
guys think the Devils are legit? Do you think like the eight? What's more legit, the 8 wins or the 3 losses to start the season?
I think the 8 wins. I think the Devils are good.
Yeah, I think they are too,
Well,
man.
listen. We've been saying how many years has been where is it finally time for the Devils to come out of their rebuild,
Yeah,
retool, whatever you want to call it. When is it time for the Devils to start making steps? I wasn't like really sold before this year just because I was kind of burned the past couple of years where it was like, yeah, the Devils are finally going to start making steps, and then they just didn't. You
yeah,
know what? They might if everything holds up. Uh, they definitely have a real good chance. I'm not gonna sit here and say that they're gonna 100% finish top three in the Metro because, like, as of right now, who knows how that is gonna play out? There's like at least like 5 or 6 teams who have
yeah.
legitimate chances to finish in that top spot in those top spots. But the Devils are definitely in that mix right now. They what the Devils need though is a full 82 to fully convince everybody. So you could start hot, but if your game 20 through 35 are not great, then that's when it's like that's like the meat and potatoes of the season. Like you gotta grind through those games there to make it to back to the playoffs, basically. So we'll have to see, I think.
I can't wait for the wild card, like the races to establish themselves, right? Because then you'll be able to look at matchups and be like, this is a pretender or contender matchup, right? So
I don't even want to think about the wild card race stress. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Really, I don't really have to deal with that. Like I've never been in a situation where it's like, oh, we're fighting for a wild card spot here, but just the thought of it, the stress of it, just sounds like it sucks, man. You guys haven't been in a while either, so. Actually, you guys want to.
The Columbus year would have, the Columbus year would have technically been like when the season got cut off because of COVID. We were in a wild card spot, I'm pretty sure, and the other time would have been Matthew's rookie season when we had the wild card spot, and we played you guys as the President's Trophy winners. Yeah,
but like, I don't know, like just the idea of us even fighting for a wild card spot against this New Jersey team is a little bit scary. I can't shake that off. And
go Devils!
Whoa. And it sucks too because I've been pushing like Jack Hughes for a while. Like I've been a big fan of Jack Hughes for a long time, and it seems like he's finally getting into his groove now, right? And it just happens to be that we're on the decline, fighting for a potential wildcard spot here. But anyway, Jack Hughes' point per game. I don't know his exact like numbers, but I know he has 12 points off the top of my head. But which is pretty
not too shabby.
12 points in 12 games, which I think is
you can probably even do better, honestly. Yeah, like he could push 90. He could maybe touch 100 if he really went off. But
possible.
You would not be mad with 82 points from Jack Hughes this year, just because he hasn't played a full season of point per game hockey yet.
No, and I think that it's going to be what we expect in the future, like from Jack Hughes specifically. I mean, I genuinely think it's a generational talent. So
he's up there. No, he's definitely one of the best playmakers in the league already, and he's going to get better. Yeah.
And
any other teams or
there's one more guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's one more guy I want to shout.
Give a shout out, Bryan.
John Marino, fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
Fantastic.
No, he's been really good. I saw that stretch pass he made to Jesper Bratt. I forget who. I think it was against Edmonton. Yeah, it was the Edmonton game where they scored 2 goals in 17 seconds apart on Stuart Skinner. Jesper Bratt is another guy who deserves a shout out. That guy.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I feel like most people knew he was good for like at least a year or two now. Not this good. And even Lindy Ruff, like I think I might have. I don't know if I brought it up in an earlier episode, but like the guy played like 12 minutes one game and he had 3 points. It's like what the hell's going on here? It's just it did not make sense. And I'm pretty sure
he's playing second line now.
I can actually look it up. Yeah, let me look up his contract because I think they went bridge deal instead of long term this offseason because he was an RFA. He is signed at $5.45 million for this year, which is a bargain, and he's back up as an RFA at the end of the season. He's gonna make bank. He made the right decision. Yep,
100%. Yep. Bet on yourself.
Good for him.
Maybe another team who made a signing, a nice bet on yourself signing. The team that was scored on by the New Jersey Devils twice in 17 seconds, I believe, the Edmonton. Listen, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, combined 42 points in 10 games. McDavid has, I think, 22 or 24 right now. I think that stat might be higher. I think it's 11 games, 44 or 45 points, which is ridiculous. But there's still a lot of question marks on that Edmonton Oilers blue line and in net. Soupy.
Not to name names, Jack Campbell.
Yeah. The guy that bet on himself with the Leafs, and he got paid a boatload of money, man. 5x5 for Jack Campbell, and he has not started the season. Stuart Skinner's come in relief. He's come in and done okay. He's done well. Stuart Skinner should definitely get a couple extra games over Jack Campbell because right now, Jack Campbell's looking like. There was that one stretch where Jack Campbell looked like a Swiss cheese, dude, like a human sieve, and especially for a guy like him who gets down on himself really, really easily. I saw like as soon as the season started in that Battle of Alberta, the first game, He
Yep.
had those first two goals that he let in, just absolutely. It looked like
Demoralizing.
it just tanked
Yeah.
his spirits
His
or
confidence. Yeah.
whatever,
And
like
Dave, would you agree that if he
everything.
started the season with a win that game, that this might not even be a conversation? Like, I really think
Dude,
with him,
they might
the start
legitimately
is
be
so
on.
important.
Yeah, they might legit if he started. Sorry, if he was so right now he's like an 8, I think a .886, 885 maybe. Dude, if they were
0.874.
.887,
Somehow
not
with a
great,
5-3 record. Interesting.
right?
Man. Goal
Um,
support.
dude, if he had legitimately a 9-10 record, I think the Oilers are like
They're up there. They're like
unbeaten.
10-2. Yeah. Yep.
Maybe
So
they might legitimately be unbeaten.
my thoughts on Campbell, I mean, like, I honestly, like, I wanted to keep him. If I'm being honest, I thought 5x5. I'm like, that's fair. That's fair for what Campbell gave us. He gives us stability in net. We gave Freddie 5x5. Right. So when you think of it that way, I was like, okay, that makes sense. In the Leaf scenario, I like that was definitely would have been the wrong thing to do, just because you look at our timeline and everything is lining up for the Austin Matthews extension, and so it's understandable why they didn't want to do anything with that kind of term. So that's why the Murray choice was made. So that's just from the Leafs side of things. But Jack Campbell specifically, I mean, I did like him. I thought he was a decent goaltender, but he is 100%. It's a mindset thing with him. When he's in a good mindset, things will go well. When he's not, it's very, very tough. And you have to wonder if just making that transition to Edmonton, new place, it just maybe not the same support group that he dealt with in Toronto. Just something there. Something's off in the mindset. He said as much. He came out, I think, after his last outing, and he basically said, I'm not playing good enough, and
He said,
it's not good enough for the
he
guys,
basically
right?
said, he was like, I'm pathetic. I'm plain pathetic. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's really what you want to hear out of,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
listen, I don't know if you really want to be hearing that out of your starting goaltending. Like,
No,
those are worrying, like, words from your starting goalie. Like, it's definitely not gone his way to start this year, 100%. One thing to note, Christian, last year was, um, I don't know if you remember this, but Campbell only had 1 month where he put a above 900 save percentage.
November.
Um, that November when they went 15 of 17 um, was the only month where he played above a 900. He was at like 960, which is ridiculous. Like already ridiculous.
960
But then it was
Just
like
for the month. For the month.
965 for the month.
that's a lot for 15 games.
Yeah,
That's
for 15 games. Yeah, it was like I
This
think it
when we
was
were talking
15
about him
games.
as the U.S. goaltender on the Olympic team, Vezina conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
holy.
that was like prime like Jack Campbell for Vezina. Like he legitimately had a shout to win the Vezina
If he did it
that
for
month,
if he
like
did
alone.
that, if he even did half of that, like for another month, he would have
Yeah,
yeah.
he would
but
have
he
been in
didn't.
contention for the Vesna. Yeah. Oh my
But he
god.
didn't, right?
He
So
didn't know.
like imagine like it's kind of if we had granted injuries did play a part, but there was quite a few months there where it was like 880, 870. Listen, that was I think that was a risky move if the Leafs were looking to sign that type of deal, and for the Oilers now who haven't had stability in net in God knows how long. Like I cannot name the last goalie that has played for Edmonton that has lasted longer than like 4 or 5 years.
Their
Dumoulin.
stability was instability. Mike Smith, that was as stable as it got. And like I
That
said,
was literally as
you didn't
stable
know
as
what
it
you were
gets.
getting
Yeah.
game to game. That's kind of where I see. That's kind of what Campbell is reminding me of for Edmonton. Like you could get a stellar performance,
He's a young
or
Mike Smith.
yeah,
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 And
which isn't
100%.
and
not a
Not
compliment, at
great.
least from my end. No,
you guys know my take on goalies. I don't like changing them out. I'd rather you find a goalie, you build around the system, and you find a system goalie. Like that's kind of what we did with Holtby. Uh, I don't like changing goalies because you can end up like a situation with the Leafs with Samsonov, for example, where the goalie comes up flying, or you get a goalie that isn't the right fit, and
Or you get Jack Campbell and it's just not working out, right? And you pay a lot of money.
I
I think
really
with goalies, man, it's GM dependent. Like some GMs are good at it, some GMs aren't. Like Lamoriello has always gotten his guy. That's what Freddie was. Freddie was his guy. Sorokin he inherited, but he got Varlamov, right? He found his guy. There's certain GMs, certain maybe even Grubauer, right? So like just there's certain GMs, certain goalies, or certain coaches who help goalies out, or they know how to identify a good goalie. Like Tortorella, I think is another one, right? Like, and it's literally I can't remember whose quote it was, but it's like, show me a good coach, I'll show you a good goalie, right? Like, it is a systems thing. I think you made a good point, Brian. And what do we think about Edmonton's system? It hasn't been conducive to defensive play for a while, right? They are absolutely run and gun. Chaos, they embrace it. And the reason they embrace chaos is, if you guys want, we can transition now to the absolute top of the top in terms of Edmonton, McDavid and Draisaitl, like Dave mentioned. I mean, what is the limit for these guys? Is the sky the freaking limit? Because I think maybe they're going for 300 points. You want to say? I think that's a conservative estimate, right?
That's safe, man. Like, would you really be surprised if McDavid hit 170? Genuinely.
Just to give context right now, so their stats up to date right now: 12 games each. McDavid, 12 goals in 12 games, 13 assists for 25 points in 12 games. Leon Draisaitl, 12 games, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points. What number of games do we have to get to until the media starts going 50-50 for McDavid? He's on pace right
35.
now, man.
35.
Right? Okay. I'll say 25 until we start hearing about it by the media. I haven't heard it yet. I literally looked at it right now. I just like goal per game, right? But he could do it. 100%. He could do it.
Guys,
100%.
Dude, I wouldn't put it past them to do 82 and 82. Like
right?
legitimately, like who knows?
If he wants to put his mind to it, if that's a goal for him, he can do it.
I even saw a Draisaitl interview earlier this season where it's like he said something along the lines of McDavid has to shoot more or something like that. That's one. And I guess
there's only one player in the game who can say that and not get crap for it, and it's Leon Draisaitl because he's the second best player. No, any other player says that, get out of here. Like, you're talking about Connor McDavid. You do not give advice to Connor McDavid. Draisaitl is the one guy who gets it fast.
And it's funny too because they're friends and they're legitimately line mates at times, right? So, I guess Connor's being too generous to Leon every once in a while. But anyway, if we're going I just want to go backtrack just a little bit. I apologize in advance. I do have an experience with Jack Campbell. I'm not gonna say it. Like it's a secondhand personal experience. I will say that he's a fantastic person. I'll tell you guys after. David.
100%. He's a fantastic person.
There's no debate about that. 100%.
Great person and
also good taste in music. Okay, he plays Purple Disco Machine in the Leafs dressing room. That's all I know about his music taste, but that's 100%.
But what I will say is that he is a great community guy, and
yes.
If it ever comes up, if I ever get permission, I will say in public what happened. But he is a fantastic person, and
10 out of 10 human being.
On the ice is different from off the ice, and Anyway, going back to McDavid and Draisaitl, how many points does McDavid need to win another MVP? That's another thing I'm going to throw out there because the bar is so high.
You guys can go first. I don't really have a number in mind, really.
I'll throw one out. 155.
That's 155 to win MVP.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. I messed that up. I was thinking
that's how you think he can go.
That's what he's getting this year. Is 155,
okay.
And that's winning the MVP. If he stops at 130, though, it's dead, in the water. It's first place votes across the board. That's when 130s. 130s
that was my number. 130. If no one else beats him, he's 130 points, MVP. 100%.
For the record, last season, do you guys know what he was at? I didn't remember off the top of my head.
I know it was over 120. I know that for a fact. I can just pull it up if you want.
Was it
It was
121?
123. 123.
Yeah.
123. I'm gonna assume that Draisaitl was second, and so looking at Draisaitl, I want to say he was 115. He was 110. So McDavid had a 13-point lead
Over
on
Gaudreau.
second place. Oh, was it Gaudreau was at 115?
I think Gaudreau was second.
I'll check him out.
I
I'll
think
check
he
him
might
out.
have been, yeah, like 117,
Gaudreau
118.
was unbelievable last season. I just don't think the media covered
Yeah.
it. But
I mean, they
Oh, by
did
the end they were.
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So Gaudreau was 115, so he was probably second there. So he had an 8-point lead over second place. I'll say if he
Wow.
can put a 15-point lead on anyone not named Leon Draisaitl, because I'll say if Draisaitl is within 15 points, that won't take away from McDavid, I don't think. But I'll say 15-point lead on someone on any other team. I'll say that seals the deal for an MVP season. So not necessarily the point total, but the difference between him and second place on any other team. 15 points is my
I
number
still
there.
can't believe how good they are, and like they as a duo. You know, if you think about it, for the
I'm
past
totally
couple
so
years-
jealous. Just being able to watch those guys every game. Edmonton fans are so
Man.
lucky.
I watched Ovechkin play, guys, and I'm still in awe.
Right? Yeah,
Oh
man.
my
Like,
goodness.
I mean,
If that's like where we are now, we are at 40 minutes at the second half. I just want to talk a little bit about BD Sports as a whole in terms. I know you want to talk about some other teams, and I apologize, boys, but 140 is a little bit like 40 minutes, but this one's a little bit long. But anyway, yeah, the World Cup's starting up soon, guys. I know Christian's not the biggest soccer guy, but he is a World Cup.
I'm gonna be watching.
Yeah,
100%. International soccer, I'm in.
it's amazing. I know you guys don't have your team. Well, you guys have a team playing in Canada, right? In Canada, right? Because Italy.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
have
other one
team.
isn't there, but yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
and,
we won't talk about them.
And this obviously isn't gonna be a soccer podcast. In terms of like this is gonna be PuckPod, like our premier hockey podcast. But we do have Fubo TV, an affiliate. We have a partnership with them in the sense that you guys can grab Fubo. Use the link below. If you're American, you can actually watch the World Cup games there. In the description below. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, Canada's in the World Cup, so we'll definitely have the whole country's eyes on it. I mean, the World Cup gets attention in Canada, regardless. I mean,
Yeah,
it's by
regardless.
far the biggest sporting event in my opinion, and I think factually is.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. Yeah, it's not even
100%,
opinion. Yeah.
And it's
It's like
interesting.
heads and shoulders above like everything else. It's like billions
Yeah.
compared
It's
to
like
hundreds
here's
of
the World
millions.
Cup. The only one that comes close is like Leafs versus Arizona, like twice a season. Like that gets
in
close.
Muller Arena, right?
In Muller
Yeah.
Arena. That's the only event that will even do it justice. Yeah.
But we'll be making articles. We'll be doing our classic stuff with that. I mean, it's the World Cup. I mean, you can't beat it. The only time you can beat the World Cup is when the Capitals are in the playoffs, going far in the finals, right, guys?
Yep,
Totally.
for sure, for sure.
I love the
Uh,
enthusiasm.
I think if we do get blessed this year, which I legitimately think we might, with a Argentina Portugal final, like I
Possible.
think we might legitimately have an entire like I literally don't know what we would do. Like that would really make all my dreams come true. Like that's what I've wanted to see for like 15,
I don't
14,
wanna see
15
that.
years now.
That's actually
Oh,
one of the
dude,
matches
I wanna
don't
see
wanna
that.
at the final. Because
Why not?
the reason I say that is because for me, Messi is like the GOAT, you know what I mean? And if Ronaldo would get a World Cup against Messi in that sense, and then people shift their opinion, it's just not it. Portugal also have a better team on paper, like a significantly better team on paper. Portugal might win
No,
the tournament.
I think you're discrediting Argentina. I think Argentina wins the tournament. I'm not gonna lie to you.
If you look on paper, Portugal has a way better team. Like
They have talent. They don't play well.
They don't play well, but if you look on paper, like eventually, like,
No, I know.
Eventually, they're gonna have.
I know
to play
you.
well.
No, Brian. Listen, me and you. I know exactly what you're saying, dude. But Argentina are coming into this tournament as like if they win this tournament, they overtake Italy's unbeaten record, the one that they just set last year.
And
So that's how good Argentina has been. And I think they're coming into this tournament even better. Like Lionel Messi is outperforming Erling Haaland right now, like who's been on an absolute like
Oh my god,
mission in the
ridiculous.
Premier League. Like that guy's an absolute animal. Like if we
Is
had a
Norway
soccer
in the World
podcast,
Cup or no?
No.
no, they're not. Oh
Dang.
my god, I wish they were. That would have been a real treat.
To put it into context, most strikers can wish for a 15-goal season.
How many games?
15 is like a 30-goal NHL season.
No.
And how many games do you play in the Premier?
38.
How many games?
34.
38 games.
34.
Okay, so 34. So
34.
15 is just under half a goal per game. So like a 35 goal season.
Dude,
Okay.
he hit 15.
And what's this guy doing?
He had 15 goals by the first month.
How many
the
games
end
have
of
they
the
played?
first
How many games has he played?
I don't know the exact number, but I'll pull it up. But
12?
It's less than 15.
Yes.
Yeah. They're
Why
not
they
even
put-
halfway through the season.
So he might put up like a 40-goal season over
Yeah.
34 games,
So-
which would be
so
the equivalent to like going 82 goals in 82 games,
Yeah.
like near Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record.
He has 18 and
The
12.
record right now is 34 in 30.
Was it
Sorry,
Suarez or Pollard?
sorry.
Sorry, Suarez or Salah?
No, this was like in the 90s. It was like Andy, like Alan Shearer, like those types of guys. So this is the English Premier League that we're talking about. It was 34 in 42. They used to play 42 games. Now they play 38. So I had that stat wrong.
Okay.
And he's at 18 right now, and we're in November. Like 18 goals was like what Mohamed Salah finished last. So he finished last year with 21. He had 18 going into the last like 2-3 weeks of the season, basically. It's like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And
I've heard casually about this guy.
Yeah.
But
he's different.
Like legitimately, like one of the best players we've ever seen.
That's why I asked if Nora was in, because I would have loved to actually watch this guy.
Yeah,
but,
it's a real shame that they don't have that talent around. But I think because it's actually been his emergence, but there's also been a couple other Norwegian players. Like there's Martin Odegaard. There's a couple other guys who are coming up, who are starting to establish themselves, and I think we legitimately might see Norway. Yeah, they might actually have their golden generation like in the process. So like
building up,
we talk about
possible.
Yeah, like Belgium was another team for a long time. They were historically not good. Like they were actually terrible. But in the past 12 years, they had like
players.
they had like
Dave, I don't think you know this, but like Belgium is my number 2 team. Like in an international soccer,
there are a lot of people's number 2 because they actually have legitimately like awesome players to watch. Like I like watching Belgium play.
Kevin De Bruyne, that guy's
never get
a
it done.
magician, bro.
Oh,
I'll tell you, Brian, Dave doesn't know who my favorite soccer player of all time is.
Oh,
his favorite soccer player of all time.
Wait,
he's a Belgian player.
Dave, guess.
You guys
One guess.
Wait.
He plays
Belgian
internationally
player.
for Belgium. Like, okay, I don't know if he still does. So you can go maybe 2 World Cups back. Okay. Did he really?
My first thought for some reason is Raja Nangle, but I don't know if like that might.
I've never heard that man's name in my life. No. It's like I said, I don't watch soccer. I don't watch club soccer. I'll watch international soccer. Marwan Fellaini.
That's
David has a shirt.
That's
No, I'm
my
kidding.
boy, dude.
No, I wish I had a
don't
shirt.
have
Oh, David has a shirt.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I don't. I wish.
Yeah,
Man
I
United
just,
legend.
yeah. So I like that guy. That's why Belgium's my number 2.
Just for the hair.
I'm super
I
down.
understand.
Yeah. I'm super. You don't know how mad. Not mad, but like he did it for a good cause. But someone sent me a text like this was like
You shaved it.
I was like no, but I'm honestly really down. Like maybe not next week, but the week after. You guys want to give some picks, whatever? I'll even throw something in. Just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah.
100%.
And even when the round of 16 comes, we'll do just do our bracket picks, see how right or wrong everyone
Right
is.
to the finals.
I'm down.
The main
Yeah,
thing
we
You
definitely
guys know
could.
you won't be in last because I will, and then you guys can fight for
I
first
don't know.
place.
I did pretty bad.
You never know,
pretty-
man.
The past 2 major tournaments, like I'm biased in soccer, right? And then I picked Germany to go far, and then I don't know.
Die
They just don't go
Mannschaft.
far. But anyway,
Well, they did. They did in 2014. They went all the way to the finals.
The
Fun,
the
but
past two major tournaments were
yeah,
the Euro.
no, they've been
and-
disappointing.
yeah, but I don't know. I'll write an article about that. You guys, because this is obviously a hockey podcast. If you guys want to read that, I'll write an article why I think they're gonna win the tournament, why I think they won't, and yeah. But the main thing I just want to tell these two over here, my two partners that we are podcast hosts, is that it's gonna be a very busy month, boys. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Um, NHL's like it's getting to like the grunt of the season.
Meat and potatoes. Yeah.
And World Cup. I mean, we can't not cover the World Cup. It's legitimately one of the best
The
events
World
ever.
Cup is, yeah, 100%.
There's just so much stuff to do. So much. I mean, work, school. You guys probably feel flustered as hell, right? I do too.
All the
And
time.
It's gonna be tough, but we'll keep this pod going. We'll keep going, and I think that's a nice place to end it off because we're getting into 50 minutes for this half at least. Regardless, thank you guys again for tuning in. Check out our TikTok. Dave works really hard on those. Check out our articles. We have a lot more articles coming. We kind of slowed down, but we'll definitely be coming up with more. Get our phone app, and yeah, just tune in for next episode. We'll do our best to get it out for Monday afternoon, right? That's typical.
Yeah. We'll 100%, like at the latest Monday afternoon.
Depends how fast Dave's internet is.
No, it's not even my internet.
Whoever's
It's
listening.
my processor.
Yeah. Whoever's listening isn't going to hear it until it's out anyways. So
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? Thanks again for tuning in. If you guys have any suggestions, any comments, anything, just leave it down in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, feel free to reach out to us on the socials or anything like that. We're going to end it here. Take care.